Hello everyone, welcome back to another Tomato Sauce stream. Today is gonna be an exciting one because today is Leaks Day, which is always a good one. It's a lot of speculation, it's a lot of excitement, it's a lot of getting your hopes up and then usually getting a little bit disappointed, right? Because usually, the thing is, when you get a leak, right, you get to see some skills. And then you start speculating, okay, what cards could we get? And you always end up thinking about the best case scenario. And you never quite get the best case scenario, right? So I think you always get your hopes up a little bit, and then you're always a little bit disappointed when you find out what's actually coming, because you're always missing like a key piece to make everything kind of click together. A good example of that is usually trap cards. Usually we are missing some sort of like good trap card. And spoiler alert, there is a pretty good trap card for both the worms and for Sky Savior, and I don't know if we're going to get either of them because both of them are really strong. So it'll be interesting to see if we do get them. But beyond that, we do also have the speed leaks. Now, obviously, guys, you're in the Tomato Sauce channel, right? You're probably a rush main, right? Speed is probably a bit of an afterthought. Speed is never going to be as exciting for us, let's be honest. But that being said, there are still some speed archetypes I think are quite exciting. There are going to be some speed decks that are quite exciting. This round of leaks, kind of mid. I don't know, we got like some Boral stuff, which, We've got a new Playmaker skill, which is, I would actually say the most interesting thing we got for speed is probably the adventure stuff. And the adventure stuff is kind of cool. I do quite like the adventure cards. I do think they are kind of neat. So we'll have a look through and we'll talk about them. But I would say this is much more of an exciting rush leak than an exciting speed leak. But before we get into all of that, let's see who we have in the chat. We have Darth Victor with the first. Hello, Darth Victor. Welcome, welcome. We have Hit in the chat. Hello, Tomato in chat. Hello there, Hit. How's everyone's favorite Tomato? I am doing pretty good. We are full swing into summer now, which has its ups and downs. On one hand, it's bright. I don't dislike, you know, a nice warm day if I'm gonna be out in it. When I'm stuck indoors, which happens more frequently than I would like, and it's just hot, it's not a good time. But as for right now, yes, I can't really complain. We have a human Portuguese dub fan, Primero Portuguese. Welcome, welcome. You get the first from Portugal. Welcome, welcome. We have Kim Friend in the chat, everyone's favorite Rush player. Can Therian and Rush die together? I mean, what's wrong with Therian? I'm actually curious as well, right? This is something, I don't talk to Kim Friend as much as I would necessarily like to, maybe. I don't know. Kim Friend is usually quite a negative person. But I am genuinely curious what kind of decks Kim Friend plays in Speed. Because he always seems, whenever I see him talking, in anyone else's chat or my chat, and this is about Rush or Speed, I always feel like you're being really negative. And I'm just curious, like, what decks you actually like playing yourself. Because I know there's a lot of decks you don't like we just said Therian. I'm curious, like, you know, what makes you happy, right? But hello. We have Rarity in the chat. Let's do an exclamation mark Rarity before we read the message. Welcome on in. Oscar Bros in and London Bros out. Excited for more Go Rush things. Yes, it is. I mean, we didn't know that we were going to get London, like, as, like, the next character. But it seems likely we will eventually be getting London. But even if we were going to be getting London as the next Go Rush, there was no guarantee that we were getting a Go Rush character next. There's always a chance they could have just given us more Sevens characters, which is, like, something they do. But I would expect London to be just a little bit further down the line. I don't know. I personally don't think we need London. I don't think London is a particularly interesting character. I don't think London's deck is particularly interesting. I think he is such a mediocre character in terms of, like, the playability and mechanically what he would bring to Duel Links that I think you'd be better off giving him the Euro Gohar and Sabu Ramen treatment and kind of slapping him together with someone else. Because London on his own is not, it's just not a very compelling, like, interesting character to bring to the game, I don't think. It's my favorite Tomato. It's Ursus. Hello, Ursus. Welcome. Thanks for liking yesterday, Tomato. I said I thank you again. Yeah, I did catch some of the stream. You actually streamed a lot shorter than I was expecting. I was expecting to, like, come into the stream and actually start chatting a bit later, but the stream just ended too soon. Better suggestion, Ethereum and Rush. Oh, please no. We do not need that. Not going to lie, that Archive kind of looks like a London skill if you squint at it. Are you talking about just the random, like, 2500 attack one? We're squinting pretty hard there, I feel. Borrow and Playmaker makes sense because events coming in a week or two. Yeah, but it doesn't matter if they make sense. What matters is, are they actually going to see any play? Are they actually interesting? Are they fun? Are they going to impact the meta? These are the questions we should be asking. Rather than, like, you know, okay, we kind of assumed we were getting them. Where's my altar guys support Konami? Alright, Crimson, calm down. Also, how are you doing after last week? I mean, fundamentally, I'm fine. So I actually am going for an eye test tomorrow as part of it. Because I need to get a whole bunch of different tests. So that's going to require, like, blood tests, potentially a brain scan. And, you know, we got to tick off all the mundane stuff. So, you know, you can have migraines and headache-related issues because of eyesight, right? So I'm going to get an eye test tomorrow is the plan. So things are progressing on that front. Don't headache, could play. Are we playing more today or tomorrow? Okay. Because it's a demo, right, that you're playing? So I might check the demo out at some point myself. Yeah, it works with Arts Angel. Yeah, but that's like, it works with everything, right? You could say, oh, it's a Zuijo skill because Zuijo has like 4 2500 attack monsters, right? I don't know. I don't know about that one, man. I think we're stretching a little bit. We're stretching a little bit there. But beyond all of that, there is also some other stuff we have to talk about. And that is going to be, we've got a new ban list for OCG. And we're not going to go into it in too much depth at the moment. We'll cover that a little bit later. But the OCG ban list is really interesting. Because they've managed to hit a lot of the problematic decks in very fair ways. And I think, for me specifically, I'm actually quite happy with how they hit Spark Hearts because it in no way near kills the deck. Like, it is a slap on the wrist hit to Spark Hearts, which is good for me. The downside is, I'm not convinced that they hit Necromade Defiant Soul hard enough. And that deck has been the best deck for so long. Like, it's getting a bit silly how long that deck has just been the best deck. It's starting to remind me of some of the previous formats where we've had decks that have just kind of outstayed their welcome, such as Berry Fresh, or Fresh Berry as it's now called, such as XQT, you could make an argument was too good for too long, Harpies. I think you could also make an argument for Seven's Gears. Like, just some of these decks that are just clearly the best deck are dominating every event that they're taking part in, and then they just get to stick around for way too long. It's like, we've had 2 ban lists at this point. Like, please just get rid of that deck. Now, again, it might be fine, right? The nerfs might nerf it into the ground. That might be completely fine after that, but I'd like to see heavier hits, personally. Hello, Dwan. Welcome on in. But I didn't do story. I got like 5 more hours of just me running around. It flips a monster down, which activates metal position effect. Yeah, you're not wrong. But there are also other monsters that can just take advantage of that, right? So it being specifically face down, I don't know if that, like, means a ton for it, right? Is Markma dead? So the main deck Markma is now at 2, which is fine, because I played it at 2 copies anyway. So, like, for me, it's fine. I took a friend, hate SEO, he loves the demo, give it a game, don't know if he does it SEO or not, it's going to tell him it's SEO if it's the game. I see. Alright, let's hop over, and let's start talking about some of the stuff. So first things first, not a particularly interesting topic, well first off we'll actually get rid of this, because I had to sort that out. We have the new card flipper campaign, which has brought with it our brand new rush card. It's Bombing Bird, it's finally here. I know everyone has been anticipating this card for so long, but now we have the super rare card Bombing Bird. I know you guys probably can't contain the excitement you're currently feeling for this new fire winged beast normal monster. It is in actual fact a bird that releases bombs, and there may be little people inside. So who even knows? This card could be the new meta threat, but it has potential. Definitely has potential. Anti-shady tech. Pog Bombing Bird, exactly. I'm not playing PvP until Bombing Bird FTK is emergency banned. The thing is, it releases bombs, which is dangerous, and there could be little people inside. There's so much like depth to this card that I think people just really don't like fundamentally understand or respect, which is a shame. It is a shame. The other thing we got was Emerging Emergency Rescue. I mean, this is nice. I like the rescue animals. I'm happy to see this card, but little people inside the bombs or the bird. It could be both. We don't know. Hello, Giant Luke. Oh, I'm really bad at pronouncing names. Hello, Giant. Welcome, welcome. A trap pigeon will never be the same. My 4th copy of that you are now. I mean, it's nice that it's here, I suppose. Yeah, it did come out March 11th, 2025, which is kind of wild. Oh, look, it's human. It's human. He's right here. Rushdoll will never be the same after this release. Bam. There it is. There it is. But I think we'll do what we always do with leaks, right? We will start with speed, and then we'll build up to rush, because I have a lot less to say on speed, as always. So we're going to start with the speed. Go through the speed. There's not that much speed, so anyone that doesn't like all the speed stuff, you'll be fine. We'll get through it quickly. No, provide Japanese and English version of the game. Funny thing is that both SEO and Duel Links. I mean, that's fair. So, skill number 1. Nice speed skill. Varus 1. You can only use this skill's second effect once per turn. At the beginning of the duel, add a Mirror Force to your hand from outside of your deck. That's very funny that we're getting a Mirror Force skill. Effect 2, so once per turn. If your opponent controls a monster, or you control a face-up Borreload dragon, so if we're going second, or if we have Borreload, place 1 level 4 or lower dark dragon monster from your hand or graveyard face-up to your field. I'm trying to think if there's like anything crazy. Like, obviously, you can just use this to get back a rocket, right? I assume that's like probably what we're supposed to be doing with this. I can't think if there's anything like busted we can do off of this. Like, because it's restricted to level, which means we can't like bring back a Link. We can't bring back an Xyz. I mean, if there's a level 4 or lower Synchro monster or a fusion, we could bring that back, but I don't think we're going to. I think that's jumping through a few too many hoops. Mirror Force Pog. Exactly. Exactly. Hello, Lost Memory. Welcome, welcome. I don't see who would play the Varus skill. I mean, we said that at the start, right? I don't think either of, or any of these speed skills look particularly interesting, except for the adventure one. Varus, most terrifying card, season 1. There we go. I mean, when did Varus used it against Go, right? It was the Go's like best duel. And it was absolutely like this like shock moment when Mirror Force gets flipped. If the skill gave you Mirror Force, sure, but not this. Maybe the big Varus skill. Oh yeah, this is the bad skill. Like with every time we get a new character or a new wave of support, generally there's like a bunch of bad skills and then the one good skill. That's just kind of how this works. Hello, Corey. Welcome, welcome on in. You've just caught us talking about Varus 1. Well, speaking of that, we're now going to go to Varus 2. So here's the quote-unquote good skill. You can only use the skill's second and third effects once per duel. So first effect. You cannot normal or special summon, excluding special summons from the extra deck, any monsters except dark dragon monsters. Okay. Effect 2. So once per duel. Reveal 1 Boot Sector Launch or Rocket Loader in your hand and shuffle 1 card from your hand into your deck. Then add up to 2 Absoluta Dragon Quick Launch and or rocket monsters from your deck to your hand. So this is a +1, and we can only activate it by having 1 of a potential 6 cards in our hand. And again, once per duel, if only your opponent controls a monster, or if you control a Borreload Dragon, you can play 1 Borrel monster with 3000 attack from your extra deck or graveyard face up to your field, then add 1 Red Reboot from outside of your deck to your hand. So, now, Red Reboot. If I'm not mistaken, this is not currently in Duel Links. Let me double check this. Let's get this up quick. Let's go over here. So this is confirming Red Reboot is coming, which is interesting, right? So if your opponent activates a trap card, negate the activation, and if you do, set that face down. Then you can set one other trap directly from your deck. For the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, your opponent can't activate trap cards. You cannot, or you can activate this card from your hand by paying half your life points. So this is like interesting, right? It's a hand trap, counter trap, 4 traps. I'm trying to think, where would this see like a good amount of play? Like, what deck is playing a good amount of traps? I mean, I guess you could use this against Stardust, against their 1 trap. I think they only play 1 trap. Good against Odeon? I mean, potentially, yeah. This is a trap deck. Although, I don't know, I haven't really looked at Odeon much recently. I know that, like, Centurion is playing the Odeon skill, but I don't know how, like, trap-heavy that deck is or not. I don't know. Altergeist 2? Yeah, but no one plays that deck. Alright, we are in an ad break, so we'll just wait for the ads to tick away. Tomato imagining ads. I can only assume ads are coming in when Twitch tells me ads are coming in. What else can I do? Only one that can escape this is Val with their own counter trap. I mean, there is still Tachyon, right? Which is like around, or like as a package or as an engine is still around. So like that deck, I guess, can play their own counter trap. Revolver gonna go Trazy Trust. I'm not so sure about that, but hello, Bonko. His second skill would work if you use this. I mean, it's kinda... Do we actually think this is gonna see play? I don't know, man. I mean, the second part of the skill isn't bad, but we have to find one of 6 cards in our deck, right? Or again, if we have... as Victor said, we have a card like search out one of these cards, which is fine. We still get a +1 out of it. A +1 is good. We can shuffle a card from my hand into the deck. I think we'd rather send it to the graveyard. And then we just get a red reboot. And it's from outside of your deck as well, which means even if red reboot was in a pack, you wouldn't have to actually put it in the deck. I don't know. I think this is mid. In my opinion, I don't think this is very interesting. I don't think this is very fun. And I don't think this is going to be very good. And speaking of not very fun, not very interesting, and not very good skills, here is Playmaker's skill. So you can only use this skill's first and second effects once per duel. Can be used before your normal draw. Select one level 5 or higher Cyburst monster or a Cynet spell trap from your deck to be one of the cards from your normal draw this turn. Okay, so we get to draw into... any level 5 or higher Cyburst or a Cynet spell trap. And we can reveal one level 5 or higher Cyburst, which again we could force into our hand with the first skill, or a Cynet spell trap from your hand, then either place that card on the bottom of your deck or send it to the graveyard, then draw 2 cards. So this is like... to me, this is like an FTK skill. Like, you've got some sort of like bullshit combo that your deck can pull off. And you just want to get to it with like the most generic skill you can. So this basically says, if you play a Cynet spell trap or just one level 5 or higher Cyburst, you just get to have a Pot of Greed that's searchable. Which is like... I don't know. This doesn't scream like really interesting Cyburst skill to me. But I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about it. I'll use it for fun. One card you search with. But this is really strong in Duel Links since it's more spell trap focused, but I think other decks could adapt anyway, so like you said, kind of mid. There are other Cynet cards than Mining. I mean, potentially. At the very least, this skill seems to think there is, but... I don't know. Overall, this doesn't interest me very much. There are tons, most are bad. Well, there it goes. I mean, realistically, you're not going to play a bad one, right? The pressure skills are already better if you want to go plus. Well, exactly. I don't... I don't know. In my opinion, I don't know. These new skills for Varus and Playmaker are just not it. I don't know, man. They're just not interesting to me. This, on the other hand... So, Adventure is a weird package. I'm hesitant to call it a deck, right? But Adventure, it kind of came around in TCG, and then was played as an engine for, like, I want to say, like, a 3 to 6 month period. It was, like, really popular. And then it kind of drastically fell off, where some people were still playing it, but it was no longer this, like, auto-include that, like, everyone was on. And even then, I don't think this was, like, ever, like, a real auto-include. But it felt like when it first came out, everyone was talking about Adventure. And then, very quickly, at least, like, you know, in the public zeitgeist, it kind of fell out of favor. But... Hello, Icy. Welcome, welcome. So an exclamation mark Icy in the chat. I mean, it depends, right, what new stuff we got. I guess. I think, though, if you were going to play a dedicated Cyburst deck, you'd rather play one of the current Cyburst skills we have. But again, I don't even know how good the current ones are. Like, before this, wasn't the best Cyburst skill we had, like, the Dark Fluid skill? Which is cool, but it's very single-minded, get out, Dark Fluid, right? I called Adventure. Good job, Icy. Good job. I mean, I think Adventure is a weird one as well, because we already have Sprite. And if... Right, correct me if I'm wrong. I think in TCG we got Adventure before Sprite. I think that's correct. And we definitely got Adventure before Centurion. And we definitely got it before Lab. Again, I could be wrong on that. But, like, Adventure has felt like it's been about time for Adventure for a while. At least in my opinion. Always heard of Adventure, never seen it in action. D-draw for Cynet, Spell Trap, or a level 5 plus Cyburst, and +1 doesn't seem that good. That's what I mean. I think it would be better in, like, just kind of a generic deck. But again, even that is a bit tricky. But let's read the skill. So you can only use the skill's second and third effects once per duel, if your deck contains at least 10 cards that mention Adventurer token. I, off the top of my head, cannot think of 4 different cards that mention the Adventurer token. I can think of 3. I can't think of a 4th. Adventure was never a deck in TCG, it's just a way to get a negate up before Nib. Exactly. It was like a small little engine, right? Flop box confirmed. I think Adventure Pure could actually be a deck in Duel Links, which sounds kind of crazy. I mean, you got to remember that if you're only playing 20 cards, which you can do in Duel Links, obviously it will probably be on 30. That seems to be the trend that all decks are moving towards. But if you are only limited to having to play 20 cards, it's a lot easier to fill a deck with 20 cards than 40 cards, right? Meow Moo incoming. I think we probably would have got a skill for that, right? I mean, not necessarily, but... I wonder if we're going to get all the adventure stuff, or some cards going to be locked behind the skill. I mean, potentially, right? But let's have a look. So reveal one monster that mentions Adventurer token in your hand. Either place one card from your hand on the bottom of your deck, or send it to the graveyard. So already we have the flexibility to send it to the graveyard, which is quite nice. Then add 2 monsters that mention Adventurer token from your deck to your hand. So that's already okay, right? So we already have a way that we can have presumably around 12 cards in our deck, or I guess it could be 9, depending on like how we're building this deck, that mention an Adventurer token, which means 9 ways to trigger the skill, and then we can search 2 cards. Is pretty good. If your opponent controls a monster, or you control a face-up Adventurer token, and a monster that mentions it, add 1 Curse of Aramatir. Which one is Curse of Aramatir? Let me look this up quick. I've already forgotten what this is. When I see the image... No, I still don't recognize this card. So this is a continuous spell card. During the main phase, you can special summon 1 Adventurer token to either field and send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. You cannot special summon monsters the turn you activate this effect, except Adventurer tokens and monsters that mention it. If a monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Adventurer token. Okay, I mean, this is like nothing like crazy, but like... Oh, that's the wrong one. A little bit of spoiler there. Okay, so we get Curse from outside of your deck to your hand, then set 1 Breath of Resurrection or 1 Thunder Discharge from outside of your deck to your field. Okay, let's get it up. Let's get up the adventurer token. So these are all the cards. All right, so the cards I know. Everyone knows Wandering Griffin Rider. Everyone knows Enchantress. I think the other card that I recognize was the Rite of Aramasir. These are the 3 cards that I recognize. I don't know any of the other cards in this quote-unquote deck. Suppose we get all 10 cards, easily enough with the skill. It depends what their end field is, but I think they kind of rely on equip spells and continuous spells, so zones might be an issue. That is actually a very big issue, or potential big issue. I think skill means we get Code Exporter for sure. I don't know how good it's going to be. 3 times token, 3 times level 3, Fateful Griffin, Equip, and Illegal Knight. Which one is Illegal Knight? This one's Illegal Knight. So this is during the main phase if you control no monsters or control an adventurer token. Quick effect, you special summon this card from your hand. If you control an adventurer token, quick effect, you can target up to 2 cards your opponent controls. Give control of this card to your opponent. Return those cards to the hand. That is actually very interesting. Okay. I would say the only issue I have with this card is it targets. If this didn't target, this would be incredible. But since it targets, it's like not as good. Obviously, Wandering Griffin Rider is the one everyone knows, but during the main phase, if you control no monsters or control an adventurer token, you can special summon this card from your hand. When a card or effect is activated while you control an adventurer token, quick effect, you can shuffle this card into the deck, and if you do negate the activation, if you do destroy that target, and then you can use each of its effects once per turn. It's a very, very powerful card. I've never seen this one before. Celestial Apparatus Tesea. So if you control an adventurer token, you special summon this card from your hand. I mean, I assume it's going to be a trend. You can reveal 1 card in your hand that mentions adventurer token, add a spell card that mentions an adventurer token from your deck to your hand, except a normal spell. So that can get the equip spells and the... What can't you get with it then? You can't get Right. And that's it. Okay. You cannot special summon monsters, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so it's got pretty much the same restrictions. Then we have Magical Warrior of the Relics. Cannot attack unless you have an adventurer token. Okay. So this doesn't have the ability to special summon itself. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If you control an adventure token... Oh, never mind. They just moved it further down. At the end of the battle phase, if your monster that mentions adventure token battled, you can set a spell, or set a trap card even, not spell, that mentions adventure token from your deck. So we get one of these 2, I suppose. Okay. There's a lot going on here. Normal Adventurer Engine is 9 cards. The Adventurer Trap, and the Equip. Of course, this skill forces garbage into the deck. No, it might be okay. So, Breath of Resurrection and Thunder Discharge. These are the 2 cards that we can search off the skill. If you control an adventurer token, special summon up to 2 monsters from your hand and or graveyard with different names, but banish them when you leave the field. Then you can equip 1 equip spell that mentions adventure token from your hand or graveyard to a monster you control. So this is interesting, because you have to control an adventurer token to activate it, but you don't have to summon back cards that mention adventurer token. So you could bring back just crap that you'd summoned from the extra deck. Which... I mean, this has some potential. And then Thunder Discharge, if you control an adventurer token, you can target 1 monster you control, equipped with an equip card that mentions an adventurer token. Destroy as many monsters your opponent controls as possible with an attack less than or equal to that monster. Then you can equip 1 equip spell that mentions adventure token from your hand or graveyard to that card. Okay. There's stuff going on here, right? And then obviously, this is the other important one. Well, I suppose we'll look at the last monster, because we didn't look at it. Water Enchantress. If you control a adventure token, special summon this card. Banish this card from your graveyard. Add a Rite of Aramasir from your deck or graveyard to your hand. And then it's got all the issues. And then Rite of Aramasir, this is the card you want to get. If you control no adventure token, special summon an adventure token. Then if you do not control Fateful Adventure, you can place 1 Fateful Adventure from your deck face up into your spell and trap card zone. And then you can activate the rest of the effect. Which one's Fateful Adventure? That's this one. So once per turn... If the first time a monster you control equipped with an equip spell would be destroyed by battle is not destroyed, you can only use each of the following effects of Fateful Adventure once per turn. During the main phase, you can add 1 monster that mentions adventure token from your deck to your hand, then send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. This card mentions If a monster is normal or special summoned, you can take one equipped spell that mentions adventure token from your deck and either add it to your... I mean, this seems like it has a lot of potential, right? I'm not going to sit here and tell you this is like definitely like tier 1 deck. But you can kind of see what we're trying to do. And the skill helps you get there, right? Hello, Sheena. Welcome, welcome. On in. A legal night is for Utopia double and or nothing OTK. Okay, I mean, that's interesting. Being able to activate traps the turn you set them is huge. So let's go through this one more time. So if your opponent controls a monster or you control a face-up adventurer token, which again, the whole deck makes adventurer tokens, so it shouldn't be too difficult to do that. And a monster that mentions it. Add one curse from outside of your deck to your hand, then set a breath or thunder from outside of your deck. So that's really good, because that means we don't actually have to play curse, we don't have to play breath, and we don't have to play thunder. We only have to play the 10 cards that mention the adventure token, and it doesn't have to be any of those ones, which potentially could be really good. Like right now, we're thinking, I mean, I know a lot of people already said about it, right? But like 3 Griffin, 3 Right, 3 Empress or Enchantress. Then again, we could play Illegal Knight. We could also play Fateful as like a one-of. And then it just comes down to like, are we going to bother playing any of the equips? I feel like... I don't know. I don't know if the equips are going to be worth it. Like, for deck space? I don't know. It's a tricky one. The problem is space, at least from what it looks like. Definitely... It's always going to be an issue, right? Like, no matter what. Because you're not going to want to fill your deck with, like, garbage. It's funny as well, this is a Noble Arms card. I didn't realize this was a Noble Arms. Just, like, randomly have, like, some crossover between some different archetypes. The Adventure skill can play both Lava Golem and Sphere mode. But, right, they're only allowing that because they're about to put them both to limit 1. Wouldn't that be crazy, guys? If the ban list prediction I had from like a year ago of both of those cards to 1 actually came true now. It would fix the format, guys. I'm just saying. Dracoback is the only good equip. How good is this? So equip only to a monster you control. You can only control 1 Dracoback the Rideable Dragon. You can only use each of the following effects of Dracoback the Rideable Dragon once per turn. While this card is equipped to a non-effect monster, you can target 1 card your opponent controls sent to the hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target an adventure token you control and equip this card to the target. So you slap this onto your token, which is a non-effect monster. Then you bounce a card your opponent controls, which is targeted, which is a little bit shaky. And then, if this card's sent to the graveyard for whatever reason, you can reattach this to a token. Okay. Can't they bounce Lava and Sphere back as well? You could, but is that going to matter? I don't know. Because one thing I'm noticing with this deck is it's not explosive, right? Realistically, none of this is doing like a ton of damage to your opponent. None of this is like setting up an OTK. Which makes me think this is going to be played as like a slower control deck. Dracoback turns Fateful into a from a +0 into a +1. Let's have a look at Fateful again. Are we just talking about getting any equip spell to your hand? Because by that logic, any of the equip spells is a +1, right? This deck is so ass. The biggest issue I see might be the zone issue, because you need to control the token, and Fateful Adventure is a continuous spell, so you already have 2 less zones. Oh, you're right. I thought this was a field spell. What's the field spell? Because, like, the skill search is Curse, right? So that's -1. Fateful Adventure would be another -1. Like, in terms of, like, zones in the back row. Then the skill would grab you a trap card as well. Now, you can activate the trap card that same turn. Then if you got, like, the equip spell as well, that's all 3 taken out. Is Forest of Lost Flowers the... Oh, we got 2. So we got 2 field spells. I don't know if we'd bother playing either of these, to be honest. Although, was it this one that searched a field spell? No, this gets you Fateful Adventure. Does nothing search a field spell? It's so bad, Tomato. Don't even read. Listen, it's good to, like, understand what all the cards do, right? The real question is, if we get Griffin Rider, which presumably we are, right? Because who cares about playing this deck if you don't have the negate, right? Enchantress. Does Enchantress get that? Oh, yeah, because it's a spell card that isn't... No, wait. Enchantress isn't, right? This is, right... Oh, field spell, yeah. If you control an adventure token, you can place a field spell. No, yeah, you are right. You are absolutely right. But if Griffin Rider comes in, are we going to see a small adventurer package similar to what happened in TCG start popping up in other decks that the skill doesn't restrict you? Because, like, part of me is like, maybe there will be some decks that are just like, yeah, I could just play Griffin Rider just to get a negate. Like, it's going to be one of those rogue options, right? I don't think this would be like a meta deck. But I think some rogue decks that lack their in-archetype interactions could potentially play this. They only use cards are Water Enchantress Griffin, Knight Rite of Armatir, Adventure, and the Equip. Anything else isn't used. Well, yeah, I mean, we already know that. But the whole point is, right? And this is something that you have to understand. When cards come from the TCG into Duel Links, they're coming in a different format, right? The card pool is different. We have skills. The meta is drastically different, which means cards that weren't good in OCG or in TCG have potential to be better in Duel Links, which is why it's worth reading them. Because even if they don't end up being good, wouldn't you feel really foolish if you just overlooked something because it wasn't played in TCG and then it ended up being really important? Wasting 2 monster zones for 1 negate isn't worth it. That's true. I guess it depends though, right? Like, it depends how crap your deck is, I guess. Because, like, if I'm playing for... Alright, this is a bad example, but if I'm playing Fluffle, I've got monster zones to spare going first. And I could really use a negate, right? But I don't have main deck space, is the issue there. Like, how the hell am I fitting 9 cards in a deck that already plays, like, so many cards? Because the big thing with Fluffle that we had in TCG and Master Duel was you would play a lot of the generic negates, right? You'd have things like Toad, you'd have things like Appaloosa, stuff that we just don't have access to in Duel Links. So I'm looking for, like, anything generic that gives me that sort of effect, and Wandering Griffin Rider is probably the closest I've got at the moment. Vala's not restricted, but Vala's pretty good in its own anyways, at least speaking about relevant decks. That is probably rogue decks would use it. And we have to remember this has to compete with Stardust. I mean, does it? We don't know if Stardust is getting hit in a big way, right? Like, potentially, it could be. Like, we don't know yet, right? With Vol best deck, you mean? My initial impression is this has, I don't know, a little bit of potential. I don't see this as being, like, used at Worlds. Let's put it that way. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near that kind of level. The other reason you would use Griffin as a free 7 for your Synchro Xyz plays. Is that worth it, though? Like, surely there's easier ways to get a free 7 body on the field, rather than having to play a card that generates a token and then get a free special summon off that. Did I miss the Rush Leaks conversation? No, we have not gotten to the Rush yet. I'm interested by this. I don't know if I'm actually going to invest in this box. But then, I don't know what I'm actually waiting for. Like, I've kind of reached the point, and I've said this a couple of times, but I don't know what I'm waiting for in Speed. Like, I've just gotten the new wave of dinosaur support, which I'm quite happy about. But, like, what is there left? There's, like, I guess the rest of the... What's the trap dinosaur archetype called? I always forget what it's called. What is that archetype called? Like, if I say trap dinosaurs, I'm sure everyone in chat knows what I'm talking about. But I am just so bad with names. Dynamorphia. Thank you, that one. Dynamorphia. Like, do I just hold out for Dynamorphia? Like, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I care about. I don't think I care too much about, like, the Ishizu cards. I don't think I care about, like, the new Odeon cards. I don't care about, like, tier. I don't think I care. There's just a lot of decks I just don't really give a shit about. So I'm like, what am I waiting for? Probably be a while before we get them. I mean, yeah. But, like, what else am I going to spend it on? Because you got to remember, I don't play speed a ton, right? I will play speed because a deck specifically speaks to me, because I think it looks really fun. Speaking of which, I did actually play up to... I got up to duel level 19. So, again, to you guys, who... A lot of you guys probably actually properly play speed, and you guys probably got into stage 2 and were playing a bunch. I wasn't expecting to get to stage 2. I was just playing my, like, 4 games a day, and that was kind of it. But I got to 19 in the end. I was actually having a lot of fun on the last day, and I got to, like... I want to say I got up to 18, and then I just kept playing for fun, because I was just enjoying it. Which is wild, because that usually doesn't happen. Like, it kind of depends on the situation, right? But I genuinely thought speed was really, really fun. I really enjoyed playing the Dino deck. I found that I found it really satisfying to beat Stardust. But, of course, anyone that was still playing Stardust in Stage 1 on Day 3 of Stage 2 is clearly not the best Stardust players, right? So I was, again, probably playing against people that were quite bad. That being said, beating the best deck still felt pretty cool, right? So it was cool. What were you playing? I was playing Dinosaurs. So I was playing the new Xeno skill. And I was enjoying it. It was really fun. I learned a bunch of different, like, little combos that I could do. I still don't think I played the deck, like, perfectly, but it was fun to play. It's the sort of deck I just really like as well. But, with all that said and done, I think it might be time, guys. I think it might be time for Rush. So, first things first. Asaka. So, anyone who doesn't remember Asaka? Asaka is the Go Rush worm player who plays the fire worms, which are called Demolition Soldiers, I believe. I believe that's what they were called. They have a new name, which is Destructor. I don't really like that, personally. But I really like this deck. So these cards are all really, really cool. But before we get into them, let's take a look. Asaka 1, this is a throwaway skill. We don't care. We don't care. No one's going to play it. Whatever. Asaka 2. All right, here we go. Lock in. Can be activated by revealing 1 Demolition Soldier helmet or Destructor Worm Bark Hummer. Also, what is a Bark Hummer? I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know about that name. We always have this issue, which is a lot of us will have played with the Japanese names, like the translated names, rather than the localized names. And we'll really get used to them. And then when we have to swap over, it feels really jarring. So for me, Demolition Worm, Blast Hummer, I'm like, that's a cool name, right? I think Demolition sounds better than Destructor. And I think Blast Hummer, which is, you know, Blast plus Bahummer, sounds sick. Now, Bark Hummer, I don't know, guys. I'm not feeling it. I'm really not feeling Bark Hummer. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. Maybe it's like Bark Hummer. But even then, I don't know. I don't know about that. I love Worms. I love Worms as well. I think Worms is so good. Deck US fun. Deck is fun. 2 is the basic skill. Always good. I mean, yeah. But, from turn 2 onwards, if all of the monsters in your deck are worm-type monsters, so we're restricted to only playing worms, nothing new there, we have to reveal Helmet or Bark Hummer. So we have 2 different cards, which means we have 6 cards total in our deck that can trigger this skill. So this is similar to, I guess the closest thing I can think off the top of my head is going to be the Wind Warrior skill, the Music Princess skill, which in order to activate, you have to reveal one of 6 cards from your hand, from your deck, right? So 6 is always a bit shaky. For me, I always prefer it if it's reveal one of 9 cards, because then you're just a lot more likely to just have access to it. Now, it'll feel really bad when you just don't open one of these cards, and that's never a good feeling, right? Almost like Bahamut Shark. Exactly. It's also Demolition Workers theme. No idea why they changed it. Yeah, I'm not a big fan, personally. But, the actual skill itself. Add up to 2 level 8 monsters. Okay. Monsters with 400 or less defense Okay. So notably, 400 less defense is really interesting because that means we can search maximum pieces. Very interesting there. Fusion and or equip/field spell cards from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So this is really interesting. We can grab any of the equips, any of the field spells, the fusion spell, which is obviously important because if we're playing a fusion deck, we need a way to fuse. Any of the bosses and most of the low-level cards. So there's so much we can search from this. And we can get it back from the graveyard, which is really big. Because we've had a couple of skills recently which haven't let you get cards back from the graveyard, and they felt kind of crap. So really, really good there. Then send one card from your hand to the graveyard, which again is fine. Makes it so we're not getting a +2, we're only getting a +1. The only criticism I have on this is we don't get a discount on summoning our bosses. Which, in this day and age, feels kinda awful. So we'll have to go through and see what it looks like. So, hello, Hunter. Let's try and catch up with all the chat as well. We have Toti in the chat. Hello, Toti. Red Boot Gaming, exactly. Yeah, 6 is like Red Boot, which is bad for consistency. Exactly. We have Hunter in the chat. Hello, I hope I didn't miss Tomato Sauce X Sky Savior reaction. We haven't gotten there just yet. We have Pro Manicus in the chat as well. I think I did say something earlier, but I did miss that. But hello, Manicus. And not once per duel. Thank God this is not once per duel. If this was once per duel, this would be awful. Only 2 decks, super mini box, comeback, surely. I don't think so somehow. Rush schools are rarely once per duel. Very true. Would the deck play Silver Mountain? So you could, but Silver Mountain is not a good value card, is the issue. Like, when you play Silver Mountain, if you only use it once, like in a turn, it's basically might as well have just been another body that you summoned. So in order to get value out of it, you need to use it a minimum of twice, which is already a bit of a tall order. So I don't think you would probably play Silver Mountain in here, because it's just very awkward to get good, efficient value out of it. Could play the good worth Erms like Dragline. You could. I mean, do we have Dragline? I'm trying to remember if we even have Dragline at the moment. Like, do we? We do have Dragline. I forgot we had this card. Because there's a couple of other cards we don't have yet. What's the... There's a worm which looks like a truck. I forget what it's called. But we don't have that one yet. And that's the one I always get confused with. Where is it? Let me have a look for it quick. This one. Constructor, Driver, Soldier, Trailon. This is the card I always get confused with. So this is a card I'd really like to come to the game as well. I would really like... I don't think this card's going to come out, but I would really like it to. I think the ceiling of the skill just goes up the more cards get added to the game. Yes. I mean, there's a lot of potential for it, right? Taras can be added with the skill too. I mean, yeah, absolutely could be. What do you mean we can search any equip card? Or, I mean, saying that, there's not going to be a lot of equipped cards worth searching, so I wouldn't get too excited about that. But this does do a lot. I would have just liked to have seen us get a discount on Barkhammer. Now, again, I know people are probably a little bit sick of, like, seeing the same type of skill and the same, oh, the bosses all get a discount, and that's not very... But, do you want to have a free minus on, as well, a boss monster that minuses you? So, let's go through and take a look at some of these cards. So, first things first, Destructor Soldier Helmet. So, 400, level 1. Send one card from your hand to the graveyard, except Fusion, and pay 500 life points to add Fusion from your graveyard to your hand. So this is not a plus, this is a breaking even. Unless you use this effect. Then you can add a field spell from your graveyard to your hand. So if we get the field spell and Fusion back, that's quite a nice plus. Other than that, this card is fine. We're going to need to go into this anyway, right? And it's a skill target. Then we have Barkhammer. So Barkhammer is a really interesting card. Level 8, 2500 attack. If a field card is on the field, send 2 cards from your hand to the graveyard, including a worm. So let's just go through this quickly. If we were going to use Barkhammer's effect, right? So we have 5 cards in our hand. We activate skill. We go up to 6 cards. Summon. Tribute to summon out Barkhammer. Discard 2 cards to use Barkhammer's effect. We now have 1 card left. And we've been able to use Barkhammer's effect. So already it's like... I don't like that. If we had been able to have 2 cards left in our hand, I think that would have felt a lot better. But we get to destroy all face-up level 8 or lower monsters on the opponent's field. That's quite a good effect. Then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the number of monsters destroyed times 300. A little bit of extra burn is also quite nice, especially in a 6k format, right? We need a field spell also. Exactly. It's not the tastiest. Especially because the field spells we'd want to use are quite high impact, but we don't know if we're getting them yet. We don't know if we're actually getting them yet. I could add maximums too, but probably not worth it. I mean, potentially, but you'd have to build the deck completely differently, I think. So what? Helmet plus skill, send field spell, add is going to be the standard play, like with the Arc School. Exactly as Manicist is saying. Exactly that. Wholly using your whole hand for Barkma. We need a field spell also. Play the field spell. Barkma is just Doom Metal Coughing Baby. I mean, it's... Kinda? But let's talk a little bit about the field spells. So first things first, we'll talk about the really high impact mega field spell we're hoping we get. And that is Autumn Leaves of Blastopia. I should probably make these bigger. Like, this is not... There we go. That looks better. Do you think that looks better, guys? Is that easier to read? So, Autumn Leaves of Blastopia. I want this card so bad. I want this card so badly. Activate this card by placing 1 worm monster from your graveyard on top of your deck. So already that's good recycling. And if we have any cards that check the top card of our deck, we can immediately fulfill the requirement, right? While this card is face up in the field zone, face up worm type monsters on the field gain 300 attack, and if they attack a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. This is so good. This is such a good card. Because even if you played this with the old worms, you could do like Gantry, Bill Dragon, plus like Drakrush. Give them all 300 attacks, so you're now at like, what, 28, 28, 27, all with piercing, which is so big. So I love this card, personally. I think this is so good. This is going to be the limb one of the deck. I mean, we might not even get this card. Like, unironically, we might just not get this. But I would love to get this card, personally. Another one we could get is Destructor Fuse Gate, Scrap Gate. So this card is... It's very awkward, and it sounds terrible, but in practice is okay. And you have to just take my word for that, because on paper, this card sounds terrible. Activate this card by sending 1 face-up level 7 or higher worm-type monster from your field to the graveyard. Now, that is the big no-no part of the effect, right? At what point are you ever going to want to give up your level 7 or higher worm? Or never, right? You tribute 2 monsters, get it out, and then immediately sack it. That's not good. But while this card is face-up in the field zone, if a player fusion summons by the effect of fusion, they can shuffle worm-type monsters from their graveyard into the deck as material. So this is like Miracle Fusion with extra steps, but really bad. Now, like I say, it sounds awful. And it is not great, but this card has led Worms to get some respectable tournament results. So, like, this card isn't abysmal. The issue I have with it is this works better in OCG, or it worked better in OCG, I should say, when the format was slower. In Duel Links, with 30 card decks, with 6,000 life, with skills accelerating the game, I think this card is too slow to actually be good in Duel Links. But this card was okay in OCG. I'm not going to sit here and tell you this card was busted in OCG. This card was like amazing. But this card did see play, right? So it was something, right? Miracle Fusion with a huge cost. Exactly. It's awkward. It's awkward as hell. But the skill also lets us search equip spells. So what equip spells do we have access to? Well, this is the primary equip spell for the deck. But this card didn't really see a ton of play. This is Destructor Shatter. So equipped to a worm-type monster. While the equipped monster is in attack position, it cannot be destroyed by battle. If there is a card in the field zone, cannot be destroyed by card effects. So this primarily saw play with the maximum. It didn't really see a ton of play outside of that, but like if you slap this on the maximum, you can get its attack up to be kind of crazy. And then if, for example, the field spell you had out was Autumn Leaves, your maximum now has piercing. So you end up with a massive, can't be destroyed by card effects, can't be destroyed by battle, piercing boss monster, which is kind of gross, right? The field spell also seems bad if decks have easy access to spell trap removal. Yes, I mean, that's always going to be the case, right? Which, it sucks, but that is unfortunately the way things go sometimes. Hello, Colin. The mirror match for this deck is going to be extremely crusty because of the equip and the field spells. Yes. Especially because a lot of the cards, you gain bonuses from your opponent having field spells. So sometimes it's going to be better to not end on a field spell, which can be very awkward. The other equip spell is not very good. I don't really like this card very much. This is Destructor Sword Conquidia. So equip this card to a face-up 1-type monster in your field. It gains 500 attack. Then if you have 5 more 1-type monsters in your graveyard, gain another 500 attack. So this is like Axe of Despair. Just 1,000 attack. Which is like... I mean, that's not awful, but I don't think you'd probably want to play this. It's not really high impact. Unless that 1,000 is going to end the game. Most of the time you don't really care about it. So, another card that we can search with this is Fusion. So obviously we're going to be fusing monsters. We've already got Helmet, we've already got Worm, Barkhammer. So, let's take a look at their fusion. Destructor Charge Dragon, Dangerous Barkhammer. So I love this card. This card is so cool. So again, made using Barkhammer and Helmet. Effect. Destroy 1 face-up card on your field and 1 or 2 monsters on the opponent's field. So those monsters on your opponent's field can be face up, face down, any level, does not matter. We just get to pop them, which is quite nice. Then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the number of monsters on your opponent's field that were destroyed times 500. So the reason this card is quite good is because 1, you can make room on your field, which sometimes is important, but also you tend to have a lot of effects that can recycle your field spells. So you use this to pop your field spell, again, assuming it's not like a like Fuse Gate, because Fuse Gate is a pain in the ass to set up again. But you could send that to the graveyard, then use another effect to get the field spell back, which has like a lot of potential there. It's like Red Eye's equipped spell type, but worse. Exactly. Better Build Dream? I mean, kind of. I mean, I guess it is just better. It's just better in every way. But this card is really cool. I really like this card. It's just, again, summoning this out right now is 5-card hand, activate skill, go up to 6. Summon, tribute, summon Helmet, use Helmet's effect to get a +1, then use Fusion, and we've got 2 cards left in our hand. Which, like, that's not awful, I guess. But then we also have to give up another card, so that will probably be a field spell that we're activating from our hand. That means we only have 1 leftover card to do something with, which, I don't know, man. It's just a lot of card investment to do anything with this archetype, which is, like, the issue of why, again, I really wanted us to get a discount on the summon of the boss. Destiny Hero, Dangerous Barkhammer. I mean, kinda. So, another fusion monster that we'll probably get is Destructor Charge Expert Warning Heavy Shock. So this is made using Steeplejack, which we'll talk about in a minute, and Helmet. So 2600 attack level 9. We can add a level 8 or higher worm-type monster and or 1 fusion from your graveyard to your hand, then destroy 1 card on your field. So, obviously we don't really want to be destroying our cards. Very rarely is there anything we specifically want to destroy. It's more like we're going to get a +2, but then it's going to be turned into a +1. But because summoning this also requires us to use 3 cards, it's a bit awkward, but it takes a few turns for worms to snowball advantage. But that is the issue, right? That is fundamentally the issue of in Duel Links, the game is so much faster. And even right now, we have so many ways that decks can just OTK, right? Think about the current decks we have. Dark Galaxy tries to OTK you as often as possible. Radius tries to kill you in 1 turn. High-Tech Dragons tries to kill you in 1 turn. There are just so many decks right now that just don't want to give you setup time. And if you're playing a deck that requires setup time, it's always going to be a bit awkward. TLDR, this deck can't play Shady good. I mean, yeah, we're not going to have enough cards, realistically. But would this deck even be able to play... I guess you kind of have to. I was going to say about Star Protector's Protection. Like, we require so many card investment. I just don't know if we're going to have room to, like, be sending more cards. If the card advantage in this deck is worse than in Pyro, the deck sounds cooked. That's why, we were hoping for, like, a really, really good skill. I mean, the skill is, like, it's a good skill, but it's not a really, really good skill. Right? That's the issue, right? This plus the equip equals no destroy on your field. Yes. Which sounds good, but now it's like, are we having to use our skill to search the equip? Because a lot of the time, right, you're going to need a field spell. So you're probably going to use the skill to search a field spell. You're also going to need to use the skill to search the equip, assuming we need to use the equip for a lot of these effects. We're also going to need to use it to search fusion if we want to make a fusion play. We're also going to need it to search out helmet, for example, if we don't have access to helmet, because helmet is important for all of our fusion plays. There's so many mandatory cards that we have to search with the skill, and the skill will only let us grab 2 of them, which is a little bit awkward. I think the deck will be fine. I mean, it depends, right? It depends what cards we get. It depends what the meta looks like when it actually does come out. So it's going to depend on what the ban list looks like. It's going to depend how it matches up against the rest of the meta as to whether or not it's going to actually be competitively viable or not. Don't most characters get beat skill? You talk about getting a better skill? Generally, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, right? That's kind of where we're at. Hello, RPG Prince. Welcome, welcome. I mean, like we say, sometimes they get a better skill, sometimes they don't, right? It kind of depends character to character. Imagine we get Prisma because Sky Saviors are coming. I mean, we could. The issue with Prisma is primarily is a contact fusion card, which means it's not really a Sky Savior support card. Or at least you don't really need it in Sky Saviors, especially because of the way the Sky Savior skill looks like that we'll be looking at in a minute. So, I think if Prisma came out, it'll be more used by decks that can make use of it, because their skill doesn't lock them, but they can just do really quick and easy thingy summons, contact fusions. Which right now, I guess I don't know what that would be, because you can't play it in Dark Galaxy, because they lock them to Galaxy, right? So I'm still on Copium that Pyrofusion will get a buff on Thursday. What do you want to happen there, Hunter? So the ban list change comes in. What are we hoping changes? Like the skill gets buffed? I changed Blue Eyes list, by the way. I included Hieratic and protects target destruction. Rank up from Dragluxian. Never forget Dragluxian. Prisma is my favorite Void Veil card. I mean, basically, right? Pyrofusion skill. We need to buff Noodle skill. Oh, buff the noodles. Buff it. Come on, Konami. We can do it. We can do it. But this is made using Destructor Soldier Steeplejack. So let's take a look at Destructor Soldier Steeplejack. Whoa, guys. I know it's crazy. 1500 attack, 0 defense, normal monster. A demolition soldier who aims for the top. In order to create his ideal utopia, he engages in endless construction and demolition. Bam. Probably the most based card we have in the entire archetype. Is that Bisma? Just let Noodle to fusion twice. Why do we even have to limit it to 2 times? Why not just like let him fuse an infinite amount of times? It'd be fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So, another fusion monster we could get. Destructor Emperor Blast Kaiser. So, I think we're a little bit less likely to get this one because this is a generic fusion, but I don't think this card is like crazy, right? Made using Helmet and any worm type monster, so very important. We can make it with any worm. Send 1 worm type monster from your hand to the graveyard. Ooh, we keep having to lose all these cards. We don't like doing that. Shuffle up to 3 cards from your opponent's graveyard into the deck. Then, if you send a level 8 or higher monster to the graveyard to meet this requirement, this card gains attack equal to the number of cards shuffled into by the effect times 300. So you boost the thing up by 900, so it goes up to 35. We've had to give up a card from our hand, and we've messed with our opponent's graveyard. This card is, like, fine. Depending on the meta, messing with your opponent's graveyard can be really strong, but most of the time you'd rather try and kill your opponent, right? That is an easy fusion to happen. I mean, kinda. Hello, Nullproof. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Tomato. Is it true that Noodles will receive a meta-changing buff? I don't think so, but I hope so. Blast Kaiser essentially gives the deck an infinite grind game with Scrapgate. The effect is whatever. Is the fact it's so easy to make is what makes it good. That is true, but we still have to -2 to make this, right? Because we go Helmet, we go Worm, we go Fusion, we spend those 3, we end up with a Fusion monster. And then this Fusion monster also minuses us if we want to use its effect. So, like, it's still not great card economy-wise, and like we say, in a slower metagame, having worse card economy doesn't matter as much, but in a faster metagame, having poor card economy means you have less actions you can take per turn, which can be very awkward. So, I want this card to be good. I'm not sure it will be in Duel Links specifically, right? So we'll have to wait and see what we get. But another card we could get. This one is where I start to get a little bit like, I don't know if we're going to get this just because of like narrative aspects of like the story, but we'll talk about it because there's a chance, right? So this is Destructor Meltdown Dragon, Darkness Barkhammer. So made using Barkhammer and Darkness Phantomite, and this is where things start to fall apart. I don't know if we're going to get the Darkness cards, but there's a chance, right? So effect, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Okay, milling is always good. If a monster or monsters is among the cards sent, you can destroy face down cards on your opponent's field up to the number of monsters sent to the graveyard by this effect. That is so good. That means we're almost always going to be destroying 2 or 3 cards on your opponent's field, which is so powerful. Then, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the number of cards destroyed by this effect times 500. This card is so good because it doesn't really have any of like the big negatives that the other fusion monsters have. The problem is, again, are we getting this? Which I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we are. Darkness cards are on Season 2, are they not? Darkness cards are... I mean, to be fair, Asuka doesn't duel until Season 2, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to think now. I'm pretty sure she doesn't duel at all until Season 2. So, the Destructor cards are actually like Season 3? I'm trying to think now. I'm trying to remember. It's after the time skip. But it must be Season 3. It must be Season 3. We got Dark Meta. You don't even like Kawaii, just release the cards. I mean, I would like for this to come out. I'm not sure if it will, right? That's the big thing. Also, I think this would also take away from the other fusions, because it's like, why would you bother with those when you can make this, right? The fusion is why the skill doesn't lock us into Fire Worm specifically to accommodate Phantomite. Exactly. I mean, we also have a bunch of Earthworms that we could play as well. Dark Matter Requiem, and that's like the last season. It's less about that and more about if we get the Darkness cards, they're kind of a big deal, like narratively, right? The only weird thing about the Zuijo support, really, is the fact we got cards with the word Dark Matter written on them, right? That is the only weird part about it. If we didn't get the Dark Matter specific cards, getting like Forbidden Requiem, that's kind of whatever. But Darkness cards are really interesting, because it'd be like if we just randomly got some of Quaidel's bosses. I've already forgotten what they're called. You know, like the light versions of the other bosses. If we got some of those, just randomly, that would also feel just really weird and out of place. Plants Season 2 plants confirmed. I mean, potentially. Duel on Season 1. I recall the duel versus Yuhibwitch, which doesn't have a dual disc, and UTS pretend to be monsters. Oh, Yuhi. I don't think that was Season 1. I think her first duel... I mean, we could look it up, right? In fact, we have the thing up. We can look at it right now. Let's go and have a look. So her first duel is episode 28. So that... Yeah, episode 28 is Season 2, right? Oh, no, it's Season 1. It is Season 1. You are right. You are right. Season 1 still. Why is her first duel this? That's wild. So a second... It's 31. Is that in Season 2? Oh, that's still Season 1? When does Season 2 start? Season 2 not until the flashback? Or the time skip? That's wild. I thought Season 2 was the Luke. Apparently not. But, Darkness Phantomite. Shuffle 2 worm monsters from your graveyard into the deck. Change 1 face-up level 9 or lower monster to your opponent's field to face-down defense position. Obviously, fantastic effect. Then your opponent excavates the top 3 cards of their deck, and your opponent places the excavated cards on top of the deck in any order. Absolutely fantastic effects. It works so well with the other one. Prime, Asuka plays Remote Duel in Season 1. Yeah, so she has like a couple of duels in Season 1 then. Siesta Torero? I mean, kind of. It's like a better Siesta Torero. Depends how you look at it, I guess. But I guess because you could fuse this off, this already has like more function than Siesta Torero. Alright, some other cards we could get. Destructor Twin Princess Hort de Chassis. So, made using Nika and Poker, which we'll have a look at in a minute. Continuous effect. During the opponent's turn, spell and trap cards on your field cannot be returned to the hand, deck, or extra deck by card effects. So, I doubt we're gonna get this. Because this wouldn't have a ton of, like, functions, right? Realistically. Season 1 is 51 episodes. You understand, though, how that's weird, right? Most anime is considered seasonal. And the reason it's considered seasonal is because a season takes place over the course of 3 months, which is mirroring a season, right? So whenever something says a season and it doesn't fit within a season, it's always like, are we just saying this for the sake of saying it now? Trune confirmed. That'd be pretty weird. I don't think we'll get this, as the materials can be kind of good in the deck. And we'll take a look at the materials, right? So the first one is Nika. So reveal 1 worm-type monster in your hand, send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. So this is already a very good effect. Then, if a fire attribute worm-type is among the cards sent, you can add a poker from your graveyard to your hand. So all of this is great. The only thing wrong with this card is its stats suck. But revealing a worm, that's fine. Sending 3, that's good. And then getting a 3+1 is good. So just all of that is good. Damn, she's cute. I mean, she might come out. You never know, right? And then the other one is Poker. So if you have Nika face up on your field, so this one didn't require you to have Nika, but Poker requires you to have Nika. Send the top 3 cards of your deck to the graveyard. Again, milling a lot of cards. Then if a fireworm is among them, you can add a field spell or an equip spell from your graveyard to your hand. Which means if we go Nika, we can use Nika's effect to +1 into Poker. Then we could use Poker's effect to +1 into a field spell or an equip spell. Last one was Yuga versus Damamu and Udius versus Weijo. That one is my favorite. Spell traps can't be returned to extra deck cards. It's important. It's a very important card effect. So a card we probably are quite likely to get is going to be Destructor Soldier Kasetsu Bison. So pay 500 life points, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. Then, if you send a worm-type monster to the graveyard this effect, which should be most of the time, but also if we use a card like Autumn Leaves of Blistopia, that puts a worm on top of our deck, which forces the effect to be live. We can add a helmet or a level 8 warrior monster from your graveyard to your hands. This is another +1, which is, again, really, really good. This should be a fantastic card to get. Most of the time this works, even if you don't have the setup, because you should be playing mostly monsters and you're forced to play worms, but... Pendulum confirmed. Real. So another card, Destructor Soldier Shokudu. So, 1000 attack, 1000 defense. Place 1 worm-type monster from your graveyard on either the top or bottom of your deck. So another way to set up Bison's effect. 1 face-up monster on your field gains 100 attack until the end of this turn. I know, guys. That's so busted. That is a disgustingly huge amount of attack boost to gain. But then, you can add 1 Destructor Soldier Helmet or a 1-type normal monster from your graveyard to your hand. So this is fantastic, right? We put a card on top of our deck, which generally is quite good, because then we set up some of our other effects, and we get a +1. So, in general, just pretty good. Do you reckon Seven's Gears will be that guy / Yuga's ace? Whoa. Are you talking about an ult style for Yuga? And Yuga will get an ult style, which is that guy? I mean, potentially. I'm not a big fan of Seven's Gears, personally, so I don't really want it to come to the game. I mean, now, with unions, it could have a working case soon, but we don't have an extra deck union yet. Not yet, but soon. So next up, Destructor Soldier Ashiba BK. So, if we have 2 or less monsters on our field, and this is a bit of a weird one. I don't know why we have to have 2 or less monsters, but yeah. Send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard equal to the number of face-up worm-type monsters on your field times 2. So it's because they don't want you to mill 6, but like, come on, just let's mill 6. Then if 2 or more monsters are among the cards sent, this turn, this face-up card will be treated as 2 tributes to the tribute summon of a worm-type monster in attack position. So this is quite nice, but this does have one drawback. And that is if we use the skill, we can search monsters with 400 or less defense. Now, the problem we have with our old friend BK is he has 1100 defense, which is we can't search it, which is a little bit annoying because there might be some situations where being able to search this and use it as a discount to get out your bosses can be really nice. So, I swear these are meant to be cards of soon Arsena's peons, and I call them. I mean, could be. Hello, King John, by the way. And not searchable by the skill, Sag. Exactly, exactly. So next up, thank you for the follow. Eggsy, welcome, welcome. So, Destructor Soldier, Hearken Hearken. Your opponent has 1 or less cards in their hand. That should be live most of the time, right? Send this card from your field to the graveyard. Each player draws 2 cards. If you do, until the end of this turn, you can only normal or special summon worm-type monsters face up and can only attack with 1 monster. Realistically, this is not crazy good. This is probably better in like the maximum version of the deck. And we are in an ad break as well, so we'll just let that go. Just wait for the ads to go away. And welcome back from the edges. Yeah, peon is quite a common word, King John. I'm pretty sure everyone should know what it means. But this card is, it's kind of whatever. I don't think this card needs to come out, but I mean it could, right? Now, let's talk about some spell cards. So first things first, Destructor Survey. So, send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard equal to the number of face-up worm-type monsters on your field. So that is fine. We're basically just milling. We're milling between 1 and 3 cards. Then you can add a Destructor Soldier Helmet or field spell from your graveyard to your hand. So this is a +0, but it does set up our graveyard, which can be quite nice, and it does get back a helmet or a field spell, both of which are okay. Now, the only problem with this card is, are you going to play this? Are you going to have room in your deck to have this spell trap in your deck? Because you're already playing at least 1 field spell. We're probably playing an equip spell. We're playing at least 1 copy of the fusion spell card. Then we've got to fit this amongst all the other important spells and traps that we could have in the deck. But the only issue I have with this is just deck space. I'm not sure if this is going to be worth it to play, but I got to go. I guess I will be in the replay gang for Tomato X Skysaber. Thanks for stopping by, Hunter. Everyone knows about Peon, just like who hasn't heard of what to do when you get stung by a jellyfish. I mean, if you ever need help with that, Manicist, I'm always there for you, okay? I do not mind. I mean, I don't even know if we're playing the maximum, because unlike the later Pyro stuff, the fusion doesn't evolve the maximum. So, I think there will be a way to build this deck to play the maximum, but it will come down to if we get the draw spell. I think if we get the draw spell, we could absolutely build a version of this deck that just maximum turbos. Do we have a spell trap removal in the deck? I mean, we already have the spell trap removal. It puts a spell trap on your opponent's field to the bottom of the owner's deck. You have to play Black Crow removal too, I think. Shady counter hard this deck. I mean, yeah. There's not really a lot we could do about that other than just playing the spell trap, right? Hello, Islet. Welcome, welcome. It's actually funny because I wanted to play Worms on ladder, but it seems too slow. Guess I got my wish. Might even be around my birthday too. I hope this deck is good because I've always really liked the Worms. I'm just... Part of me feels like it might entirely depend on if we get this. If we get this, I feel like Worms have a really good chance to be good. If we don't get this... I don't know, man. It's a tricky one. Primal Howling. Exactly. Is that Luis Fernando? Imagine we get the new baseball cards in the next box. We could. I think it would be a bit of a letdown if we got those cards without a new skill. But, like, the skill isn't bad, right? So it would probably be fine. We can't play Overrush Storm because we need to play Star Pro. Watch them limit to Overrush or something now. I mean, they could. It's so Jova. I missed the speed stuff. I mean, Serena, you haven't really missed a lot. There wasn't a lot of speed stuff going on. Like, effectively, we kind of unanimously agreed that all the skills kind of sucked. Like, I don't know. Like, you didn't really miss much. We spent a decent amount of time talking about the adventure stuff, but the general consensus was that the adventure stuff isn't going to be very good. Give us Chaos player number 39 or Run Chief. It'd be really cool if we did. I want Worms to be better. I mean, I want them to be better as well. I think it'd be really cool if they were. I mean, do I actually want that? Part of me kind of hopes that Worms are, like, just under meta, so that when I play them, I'm not going to be playing a whole bunch of mirrors the entire time. Rocket skill is good if you can activate the skill. Well, there you go then. Yeah, adventure is ass. Yeah, I want the adventure stuff to be good, but the more that I spoke to people about it, the more it's like, ugh. Had our first ever tier 0 format in the entirety of Duel Links. I think we had our first ever tier 0 format in the entirety of Duel Links. What are we... Are you saying Stardust is the only tier 0 format? I'm not sure I believe that. I think we've had a ton of tier 0 formats. Does the field spell have to send a worm? Because if not, Shadow Dealer, or is it Shadow Buyer, can activate after it's level 7. The issue is the skill. If we're using the skill that actually makes everything work, we're locked into worms. That's the fundamental issue. If you want to use this, it also requires a worm. So, from both angles, it still doesn't work. I mean, you can search the field spell with the link 1, activate the skill. Well, what, Striker Dragon? Yeah, maybe we could do that. I didn't start playing until maybe right before Arc 5 World. I mean, wasn't Therian, like, arguably tier 0? I don't think it actually ended up being tier 0, but, like, it was, like, close. Stardust wasn't actually tier 0. The other thing is, though, I do have to say this, right? Depending on who you ask, people actually have different of opinions on what is tier 0. So to some people, they use a mathematical formula, like, oh, it has to be, like, 75% of top cuts. Or it has to be, you know, a certain percentage of something. But there's no actual, like, agreed upon, like, unanimously agreed upon definition for what tier 0 is. Like, fundamentally, tier 0 is a vibe. That is just what it is, right? If you even, like, Google it, you'll just find people arguing on what tier 0 actually is. No one actually has put their foot down and agreed this is exactly what it is. You'll have people who'll be like, in my opinion, tier 0 is blah, 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 right? But it's never, like, actually defined. For tier 0. And I mean, the character was literally one of the first of you to become a Darkness Peon, used Contact Fusion. Stardust trying to protect his deck after paying for the third structure. If you ask any player that placed higher in this KCC, they'll tell you it wasn't tier 0. So, the question becomes, what? Again, it's sort of irrelevant to argue about it if you don't know what it is, right? If that makes sense. So, like, I'm not sure this is the right place to, like, sit down and define what tier 0 is, but at the end of the day, I think it's just vibes. Hello, Badge. Welcome, welcome. Only one Stardust in the top 10. I mean, that is a good metric to use. Absolutely. Do we know what the top 10 was, by the way, Dwan? Like, do we know? Is that information that's out there? Because I'd be actually really curious to find that out. To be honest, the only reason I play Stardust is for the old skill. I didn't really like the old skill, personally. Or at least the skill, which was, like, super generic. You play it in any deck. Those players are just trying to protect their investings. Because Shooting Star Road and the old Quasar skill was more balanced than the skill decent. We ask people defending the Gaia incident. I will still defend the Gaia incident. I think that the Gaia meta was fine. It just couldn't have gone on for any longer than it did. Otherwise, it would have been awful. I think no one could disagree that Harpies was tier 0 in the OCG, 95% of decks at the top. I mean, yeah. But then I think at that point, you just get everyone agreeing. It was the most represented deck, it hit the percentage of like 75% of tops, and it was just oppressive and it felt like nothing could beat it. So like you kind of hit all of the... tick all the boxes, right? You wouldn't play the best deck if you're trying to qualify for Worlds. Exactly. You gotta hide your best decks for Worlds. That's exactly how it works. Stardust fills table 500 in my hands. I do not get how I bricked on 22 cards. That is actually kind of wild. Particularly I love the Fusion, which was the Blast Dragon. Alright, let's take a look at some more cards. So this is a card. This card, in my opinion, this card could really make Worms really, really good. And especially the maximum version of Worms, right? Send one Worm-type monster from your hand to the graveyard, draw 2 cards, right? Pretty standard, right? It's a trade-in for Worms. The thing is, if you're playing the maximum version of the deck with the new skill, you're probably not going to actually need things like Helmet and things like... what's the name? Barkhamut is his new name? So, like, you could just use this to send that. Maximum is so ass, even the deck is ass. The thing is, Luis Fernando is kind of an idiot, right? Because he doesn't think about things beyond, like, the surface level. He doesn't have any, like, real feeling of, like, how, like, depth works. Because if we got the ability to give these cards the level of protection that they can get, because now we can have things like the equip spell that can give the maximum protection. We have lots of ways to give our cards piercing as well. So if we get a card that can't be destroyed by battle, can't be destroyed by card effects, has like 5,000 attack and piercing, a lot of decks are going to struggle to out that. Now, is that impossible to out? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Is it actually potentially something that could be quite frustrating to play against? Absolutely. Absolutely could be. I believe in Val's supremacy. Exactly. That's what we need. Does Asaka have a maximum? I've only watched season 1. Asaka does not, but the skill doesn't lock you into fire. So it would be what's the name? Asuka? Asaka? The issue is they've changed like one letter between these two characters' names. So because it doesn't lock you, you can play all the Earthworms, you can play the Dark Worms, you can play all the worms you want in here, which is really nice. But this card has a lot of potential, I think, to just make this deck really, really good. It gives you a lot of consistency. The only problem is, it doesn't plus us, right? So it's just consistency and it takes up more spell trap space, right? Asana and Asaka. There you go, that's the one. I always get them confused. I know they changed just one letter. I always confuse whether it's the U or the K. Or the N into K, or the A into U. Many people didn't post their list yet, but top 10 was mostly branded zone lock. What does branded zone lock use to lock zones? Out of curiosity. I'm trying to think what card they have that locks your opponent's zones up. She doesn't, though, because of the type thing. We can combine it. Okay. I mean, it could also give the old Worm deck a boost. Destruction Construction. I mean, Circulation don't make plus, but it's very strong. That is correct, but it also digs an extra card, right? So for each activation of Circulation, you're increasing the odds that you find another Circulation. So by having an extra card, you're increasing the odds you find it by like an extra... It's not really an extra 33%, but you gain an extra 33% amount of cards to dig through, right? Now, you would make the argument that, yeah, you have to throw 2 cards away, but for the most part, no one's ever too bothered about sending 2 cards to the graveyard, right? It's about how many cards you can dig through the deck for. So, although I don't think Legendary Scale Ruler is going to be, like, a bad card, like, on the surface at all, it's just never going to be as good as Circulation. Being able to dig 1 card deeper, effectively turning it into a Graceful Charity, is always going to be so much better than a trading. Springen's Blast. Springen's... I don't... Ah, yeah. No, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. Usual branded war crimes, just ban the entire lore at this point. I think the branded stuff is fine. I think people just don't like branded because it's popular. Again, zone locking is always cringe, let's be honest. Even back in the day of zone locking your opponent with Ojama King is cringe. Like, let's be honest. Beside the deck plays Miracle Fusion, so even sending cards to the grave doesn't hurt too much, and the deck also plays Plot of Greed. Well, that's the thing. The deck when you specifically talk about heroes, there are so many different aspects to think about, right? First off, you have Argent. Argent has the ability to find you extra pluses. That card usually gets you a +1, can sometimes get you a +2, very rarely gets you a +0. So really good at just gaining additional advantage in that way. On top of, if you're playing cards that you need to dig into, so for example, Argent is a good example of this, but also Pot of Greed, if you're filtering through your deck a lot quicker, you'll tend to find those cards more often than decks that aren't filtering as quickly. So for example, you're more likely to find an additional copy of Circulation off of a Circulation a lot more than you are to find another copy of Scale Ruler off of a Scale Ruler, right? And in the same way, if you activate, let's say, 2 copies of Circulation, which is, again, a higher chance than actually resolving 2 Scale Ruler in a single turn, then you have a higher chance off of those 6 digs to find a Pot of Greed, which then gives you even more advantage, right? I think people are just straight up traumatized at this point from the mirror stuff, aka Mirror Jade. When are we hitting Rush Duel Ojama King? One of these days. One of these days. I hope... I don't know. I really don't like the Ojamas. I've never been a huge fan of Ojamas, so the idea of getting them in Rush is something that doesn't really interest me. Stops the opponent from playing the game. Wait, I thought of something. There's... coming up that I feel could... okay. Magnets. I'm not sure, King John, that last comment, like from 2 comments ago, came through as it was meant to. But the hero cards are newer, so it makes sense that it does better than most decks. The hero cards are newer than some of the other decks, but it is still older than like a lot of the other decks. It's older than Gradius. It's older than the new Dark Galaxy stuff. It's older than the Red Eye stuff, right? It's not like new anymore. I want Union, but the deck looks so strong. Konami really want to make the deck become better. The thing is, if they dropped Union now, I think the problem is they would probably give us one of those like execute skills where they'd be like, oh yeah, you can have it, but all of your extra deck is locked, and we're also going to lock like 3 to 6 cards from your main deck as well, and then not give you a real skill. Which, I don't know if that's a good enough trade-off for me to want it right now. For tomorrow, when we watch the next few episodes, we should go to the roller coaster duel. I mean, we're going to go for 6 episodes. That's just how we always do. I can't stay up all night. I gotta sleep. Union looks pretty fun already, yeah. But I won't reveal anything as tomorrow's literally when we do it, so we'll see. John having 2 different convos, and both with himself. No idea if meta, but for fun for sure. Remember, autocorrection on the phone is what's causing messages to repeat because of how the mind operates. I'm not constantly doing something. Well, it's just, it was more like the message that came out. I was reading it. I was like, I'm not sure this is what was meant to be said. We're going to get the execute stuff. Skill buff, this ban list. I don't even know what they would do with it, to be honest. Like, there's so many different directions they could take it because the skill is so unbelievably underwhelming. Tomato sleep is overrated. No, I need it so much. I need it so much. Alright. Next up, we'll take a look at some traps. So, this is a trap card. This is from Sevens, and we still don't have it yet, which is really weird. This is, I guess, just back from the time where Konami was afraid to give us any trap cards. They still haven't given it us. But when your level 7 or higher worm monster is destroyed by an opponent's attack, special summon a level 7 or higher worm monster from your graveyard face up to your field. This is not great, if we're being honest. Now, like, there is, like, some use case for this, but why are you putting this in your deck instead of a good trap card? Like, let's be honest. Like, sure, if your fusion monster gets popped, you can bring it back, which can be cool, but most of the time I think you'd rather just have a Shady. You'd rather have a Star Pro. So I don't think this card would actually see play, but it's neat that it exists, right? Need to give attack buff for QE. They can have a 100 attack buff and keep everything else the same. Gradius with the same kind of skill, but they just said if it don't even play their boss and skill lock. I mean, yeah. I have to go, might be back later. If not, have a good stream. Thanks for stopping by, Mr. Bad Time. I mean, we really need traps. We have Shady and Style. The thing is, traps give a lot of decks flavor. And I think that's something we've skipped over in Duel Links, which feels kind of sad. Because we've already got really good, generic, meta-defining trap cards. Which means we're never going to use any of the actual type-specific trap cards. Which is a lot of Rush was built around those traps. Like, Spellcaster would not have been a real deck for years if it wasn't for Dark Revelation, right? Like, there are many decks that are in a similar boat where they have really impactful trap cards that really defined how they functioned, and we've just skipped over that, which I think is a bit of a shame. So another trap card, Destructor Barricade. So this one is like, this one's has a use case. When an opponent's level 8 or lower monster declares an attack, that's already a little bit awkward. You have to have a face-up level 7 or higher worm monster on your field, so very awkward. But you get to negate an attack. And negating attacks is kind of cool. And this turn, your opponent cannot attack with level 7 or lower monsters. This is like, again, almost just not going to see play at all, but it's at least interesting, right? It's at least somewhat interesting. One of the main problems with Duel Links, Rush, is the over-sentization of about 2 to 3 trap cards and playing nothing else. Yes. I agree. Give me more traps, absolutely not subtle trap pigeon player. Again, the fundamental issue is we've already got the good traps. So the only way to bring out traps that people would actually play is to bring out better traps, which is awkward. Because at that point, we're talking about, like, New Start. We're talking about, like, the Cosmo Princess trap. We're talking about Sunset Rebirth. Like, there aren't that many other really good trap cards we could bring out that are going to rival Star Protector's Protection and Shady. How could you forget about Curtain of Sparks? The best type of player. The archetype one that are decent. I mean, there aren't that many of them is the issue, right? A world premiere, Shiny Shady 2. Actually, that does bring up a question. What other worm? What can... I don't know what you're asking there, Kingdom. Hello, Quantum. Release Asuka video tomato. We're talking about it now. This is like the yappy version of it, Quantum. But hello, Quantum. Are you excited? Are you excited for the new worms, Quantum? Are you excited for Sky Savior? Sky Savior is like XQT if it was nothing like XQT, right? So it's like one of the first, I want to say it was one of the first, like, Rush-specific archetypes alongside XQT, which was a really cool, like, really cool when it first came out. Show them what they look like. Oh, all right. We'll go and take a look at some of them. We'll show some of them. So here's one of them. This is Lure the Sky Savior Angel. I mean, you know, what's not to like? Cute girl, right? Everyone likes cute girl. That's a pretty good one. What about Soliel, the Sky Savior Angel? More cute girls. We're not going to read their effects yet, because we're going to be doing that in depth in a minute. I'm just looking at the pictures right now. Then we start getting a bit downhill. So then we have Dunkus. I don't think you're going to appreciate Dunkus as much, because male. But he's a good-looking guy, right? He's okay. Then I'll skip ahead. Here's another one of the girls. Here's Ciela. 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 We in on Ciela? I think Ciela's pretty cool. She's got a bow. I'm trying to think if there's any other, like, ones that would get you genuinely excited for this archetype. Maybe this one. Maybe Limlith. Limlith would probably be good. Started good, but we're going downhill. Do we not like Limlith? I personally like Limlith. Limlith has got, like, mummy vibes, in my opinion. Show them that fusion. Which fusion are we talking about? Which fusion are we talking about, human? Talking about your world's career. That's Sag. Sky Savior gets the actual skill, meanwhile Executor gets nothing. That's just how it be. That's just how it be. I don't think they're... The issue is, none of their fusions have, like, that traditional, like, cute girl energy. Like, a lot of them are either just really cool or very masculine. That's the big issue with them. The best one... What's the best one? You talk about the Floodgate? Do you want to see the Floodgate? We looking at this? We're looking at Altiera? Because Altiera is cool, but you can barely see what it looks like even. Like, let's get this image up. Like, you can barely see her. You can barely even tell it's a girl. Chartreuse looks kind of cool. I mean, Chartreuse looks fine. Cute girls sleep where the robots and dragons. Circulation counter. I mean, it's a really good one. Especially if this comes out well before we get ritual spells. This gains so much extra value. But we should probably finish off the worms and then move on to the Sky Saviors. Because we're already on the traps, so we're almost done with them. We're almost done with the worms, guys. We're almost finished, okay? If Yami Ruler or Yamiterasu not free in upcoming ban list, then I don't know when. Well, the thing is, when Sky Savior first came out, it was a stun deck. You would typically play it with the Yami Ruler and Yamiterasu stuff. So you'd play Yami Ruler to floodgate your opponent, you'd play Yamiterasu to floodgate your opponent, and you'd play Altiera to floodgate your opponent. And these also came out when Vanity's Fiend and Barrier Statue were also legal. So you just also flood. Playing Sky Savior with Asaka, bam, there we go. Quantum Nose. When Bill Dragon Bahamut Fusion, one of these days. I'm not sure if it would even be good right now. I mean, potentially, right? Speaking of that, we are going to get to a card that's very similar to that in a minute. So next trap card, Buried Shield. When your opponent normal summons a monster, place one field spell card from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck. So very strange requirement. But change that monster to face down defense position. So normal summon only. But if we do have a field spell, which shouldn't be too difficult because the skill can keep one there as long as we need it to. Change a monster to face down defense. This is like shiny Shady if you squint at it, right? But if you could play this alongside Shady, there's potential, right? But then you can make a worm monster on your field gain 500 attack and defense. Realistically, this is not fantastic, but it is playable. This is absolutely playable. Even the Execute Flip Trap isn't played. I mean, you're not wrong. You would only play this if you were playing like a super, like, deep control worm deck, which I don't think you'd do. Realistically, you wouldn't do that. And what are the odds we get more music support as they're always beefing? Maybe potentially. So then we have Ambush. Again, this is a card that probably should have been out ages ago. When an opponent's monster declares an attack targeting your face-up one-type monster on your field, send a level 6 or lower one-type monster from your hand to the graveyard. Let's be honest, you're not going to be playing 6s, so this is probably going to be a 1500 vanilla. The attack monster loses attack equal to the attack of the monster sent to the graveyard to meet the requirement until the end of this turn. This is a 1500 combat trick that requires a discard. If this didn't require a discard, this would probably be fine. Because it requires a discard, it's probably not going to see you play. And then the last worm card, the very last one. Destructor Art Absolute Destruction. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, shuffle up to 6 worm-type monsters from your graveyard into the deck. Then, if the total levels of the monsters shuffled by this effect is 16 or higher, you can destroy all attack position monsters in the opponent's field. So this is Mirror Force. If we have a bunch of high levels in the graveyard. Or just a bunch of monsters. But I think this card would see play. Like, unironically, this card would have potential to see play if it came out. What's the odds we get? We've already read that. Only for normal summons, if it's a fraction of a Shiny Shady. Yes. I mean, so one of the best trap cards for a very long time in OCG was New Start. And that effect was effectively, on normal summon, pop a monster. So it was effectively a trap hole, is kind of how you have to think of it. And it was just a trap hole you could play at 3 copies. And because of that, it was really good. That's the sad part about already having Shady and Star in the game. Most of the other traps look ass. I mean, I think having a potential 3 of Mirror Force, at the very least, you would consider it. Even if it doesn't actually make it into the deck, you'd at least stop and think about it, right? Because Mirror Force can just win the game on its own in a lot of situations, right? If we're getting Celestial Warrior support, do you think we'll get the Semi-Ruler Fusion? I mean, there's always a chance, right? But we don't know if they're going to give us any of their support. But there's always a chance. Always a chance. So, let's take a look at the other skills quick, and then we'll go on to the Sky Saviors. So, Asaka 3 can be activated during the turn you have normal or special summoned Destructor Worm Barkhammer. Add a helmet or a field spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand. realistically, who is playing this over the other skill? In what world would you ever use this? Like, even as like, oh, this is a fun skill. Like remember when Yuka came out? And they gave her the skill that did stuff with Pinch Hopper, and they gave her a skill that let her cheat out one of her bosses face down. You can at least see the vision. You can at least be like, oh, these do something different. They do something fun. This is just the other skill, but worse. Like, what is the benefit of this? You're not locked into worms? Like, outside of exactly that, why would you play this? Like, I mean, maybe just not being locked into worms is enough to, like, see some experimentation, but I don't know. For me, this leaves a lot to be desired. Then we have Destiny Draw level 1 Worm, which is another weird one. So, only once per duel. So, bearing in mind, by the way, if we're using Destiny Draw Divine Dragons, we can use that more than once. If we're using Avaricious Avarice, we can use that more than once. Why is searching a level 1 worm restricted to only once? And it doesn't, we don't even draw to 6 with this. This just puts it on top of our deck. I don't know, this just seems so bad. Like, this is just so underwhelming. I mean, 7s get a new skill, but the old skill is definitely better, so I'm not too surprised. I mean, I get it, but it's still very disappointing when that does happen. Doesn't even draw to 6. Exactly! It's so mid. It's so mid. Also, you could just use the other skill to get all... Like, I don't think there is a level 1 worm that you can't search with this, because they all have 400 or less defense. So you just use that all the time anyway. Destiny Draw, Where Draw. Exactly. Alright, now. Archive skill. During the turn, you have normal or special summoned a monster with 2500 or more attack. Change one face-up monster on your opponent's field to face-down defense position. Okay, we can flip something down. As a human did say before, this could be like a London-esque skill to be used with his ace monster, but... I don't know. I don't think much of it, realistically. Unrelated news, but I just discovered that my mum literally fell out of the car while it was moving. Well, that's not ideal. You should probably deal with that, King John. That's probably quite important. London stonks rising. Could be Ancient Gear. The thing is, I would be so mad if they released Ancient Gear and didn't give it a skill. I am already so frustrated that we never got a dinosaur skill. Like, we've had 2 waves of dinosaur support, no dinosaur skill. If they release Ancient Gear, which is another archetype I really like, with no skill, oh, that's just going to make me mad. It's going to make me so mad. Double events and more gems? I mean, that would be nice, but I think we would probably get an actual skill for him, like, surely. Skill exists for Dragius Beatdown. I mean, potentially. Our best thing to do is not help... Oh, jeez. This chat is crazy. Don't worry, she's fine. She's waiting for the stinging to go down to deal with it. I mean, you got to make sure you disinfect that shit for sure. Oh, wait. Did gadgets get leaked? No. We have not got gadgets leaked. Not yet. Not yet. Unresponsible Book of Moon. Hell yeah. All right. Sky Savior. This is the big. This is the meat and potatoes, guys. Here we go. Here we go. Can be activated by revealing Lure or Sky Savior Watch or Soliel in your hand from turn 2 onwards. So already? Turn 2 onwards. I get it. I get it. I understand. Please let me use skills on turn 1. I would really like to use skills on turn 1, especially if the skills don't actually plus me. Now, I kind of get it if they do release Little Miss Floodgate. Maybe being able to Floodgate or search into your Floodgate on turn 1 might be considered a little bit toxic. But, it feels so annoying sometimes. Send up to 2 cards from your hand and or field to the graveyard. From field is huge, right? Unironically huge being able to send from field. That could be so big. I know it's Sky Saver section, but it still bothers me that Bill Dragon shafted because they gave the animation to maximum, even though she uses it twice and Bill Dragon 5 times. I mean, yeah. Also, I continued Persona 4 Golden. Why is the evil bear extremely disturbing to look at? He's beautiful. What are you talking about? He looks lovely. Is that Hikari in the chat? We'll do an exclamation mark. Hikari. Welcome on in, Hikari. Oh, when I think Ancient Gears, I also think the gadgets. There are rush gadgets as well. There are rush gadgets. Right. There are the regular gadgets which have been changed to work in rush, and there is also a gadget maximum as well. What skills can you use turn 1? I mean, there's a handful. Like, not all of them, obviously. But there are a handful of skills you can use turn 1. Hero and Royal Rebel can use a skill turn 1. Well, there are other skills. It's just most of them are bad. Right? That's what it comes down to. Or they're just not meta anymore. The bear is a nightmare fuel. Rebels. Misclicked. Well. Then draw 2 cards. So send 2. Draw 2. Breaking even. Then you can place 1 fusion from your deck or graveyard on top of your deck. So fusion goes on top of your deck after we've drawn 2. That's quite important because that now means we can get it using Lure and Soliel's effects, right? But effectively, this skill is a +0. This is a fat +0 skill, which isn't inherently bad, but this is more what we were expecting instead of getting stuff like what we got for XQT and for Gradius, right? Where we get a +0 skill, but it actually does something, right? This is kind of what we were hoping for. Alright, so you're not wronged, one, but there was another skill that was leaked previously that had the same wording as this in the leak, but then when it actually came out, it was draw the same number of cards you discarded. So don't like, it's best not to assume that this is going to allow you to do that. But there's a chance. There is a chance. It's better than the execute skill. I mean, it's miles better. Miles better. Even the Gradius skill is better than XQT. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Good. You guys' advice. We have it disinfected, and there's a band-aid on it. Excellent. Execute player with 33 cards. Loving the Gen 5 battle music. Hello, Mufum. Welcome, welcome. I see. If you play with Gradius skill, you play with 30 cards. I mean, yeah. No one is doubting this, Luis Fernando. But they are 2 skills that have come out that are a little bit underwhelming, right? Do I need to ask Piper to double check that skill? I mean, you could, but I don't know if it's going to necessarily yield the results from the data mining. I don't fundamentally know exactly how it works, right? But let's take a look at some of these monsters. So first things first, Lure the Sky Savior Angel, already confirmed, name is mentioned in the skill. Reveal 1 warrior type monster in your hand. So this requirement has tripped me up a few times while playing this deck. Sometimes you just forget you need a warrior monster in your hand to activate this card, and it can really mess you up. So just keep an eye on that. You need a warrior to use this effect. This card's name becomes Soliel. So this is what they do. When you use Lure's effect, it becomes Soliel. When you use Soliel's effect, it becomes Lure. So sometimes it's better to not activate their effects because you need them to keep their name. And that is how you kind of play this deck, right? We can send the top 3 cards of our deck to the graveyard. Okay, milling is always good. Then you can add fusion from among the cards sent to the graveyard by this effect to your hand. And again, if we use the skill, we're going to pop fusion on top of our deck, which means we guarantee we get fusion. So when we use the skill, we are forcing a +1. It's just we're getting a +1 off of Lure or Soliel rather than a +1 from the skill itself, right? You can play Hero Engine with this skill. Let's take another quick look. I mean, yeah, there's no reason you can't. Nothing stopping you. Next up, Soliel. So, reveal a warrior monster in your hand, exactly the same as Lure. This card's name becomes Lure. Excavate 4. So 1 mills 3, 1 excavates 4. And then we can add an excavate fusion to our hand, and then place the remaining cards on the bottom of the deck in any order. So this is another thing that this deck does. First things first, does this shuffle? If we... Does anyone know? Does anyone know in chat, off the top of their heads? If we use a skill to add a card from our deck and put it on top of our deck, does it shuffle the deck? Because this could be quite important for this deck. Because one thing the Sky Savior does quite a lot is just chuck a load of shit on the bottom of your deck. So one thing you could do was keep track of the cards at the bottom of the deck and then kind of eventually work out what your draw orders are going to be. which you can sort of do in Hero at the moment, but Hero shuffles the deck so much it doesn't really matter. So already we have Soliel, which again puts the remaining cards at the bottom of the deck, so a lot of the time you're going to know what the bottom 4 cards of your deck are, right? Another one is this. This is Sky Savior Witness, but by the look of it, this is changing its name to Sky Savior Watch. So reveal 2 Warrior and or Fairies from your hand. Excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, add any of the excavate cards to your hand. Place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. So again, we just get another 4 cards to the bottom of our deck. This turn, your level 8 or lower monsters cannot attack and your opponent takes no effect damage. So this is a really good card in the sense that we get to dig through our deck, which is really, really good. But only our level 9 and higher monsters can attack, which is, that's awkward. Now, in OCG, this was fine because you would just have a setup turn, make a fusion, maybe set up some floodgates. Do that sort of turn. In Duel Links, obviously, again, the meta is so much faster, which makes me think it's going to be a little bit awkward. It depends on the wording of the skill. The skill says shuffle the rest back, so no shuffle X5. So you can't use this in Hero. I mean, you could use this in Hero. You just wouldn't be able to attack. So, you know, use it on turn 1 and only on turn 1. Easy. All right, next up, we have our other fusion materials. So we have Dunkus, the Sky Savior Knight. 1300 attack. We can reveal up to 5 Celestial Warrior type monsters with different names in your extra deck. So this is another thing. Extra deck space is going to be kind of weird. Is it a notepad deck? Do I need to write down what I place on my deck because it's relevant? It can be. It's not always going to be though, Dwan. With 30 card decks, I think it will be more relevant than it was in TCG or in OCG, but the effect is, this card gains attack equal to the number of monsters revealed. So we'll always reveal 5 unless we've already dug through our extra deck a bunch. So this guy goes up to 23. So a level 4 with 23 is not bad, right? This turn, this card cannot attack directly, and you can only attack with Celestial Warriors, Warriors, and Fairies. So for the most part, that restriction shouldn't matter in this deck. So it just becomes a 23 guy, which is like fine. Sky Savior can be a Highlander extra deck like Vitarian. Yeah, it's kind of feeling like that because of obviously the limited space we have. But Dunkus is one of our modular fusions. So if we combine this with Lure, we get Druckmore. I love Druckmore, by the way. I think Druckmore looks so cool, and I love his effect as well. So this is Druckmore, the Sky Savior Phantom. So continuous effect. Face-up cards on your field cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Which is just such a cool effect, right? Just having destruction prevention is awesome. The only downside is this doesn't work on face-down cards, so it's not going to work on your back row. Which is fair, because that would maybe be a little bit too busted. But 2900 attack isn't bad, and this effect is quite nice. So one thing we are going to see as well, Lure fusions that use Lure as a material, have continuous effects. Whereas fusions that have Soliel have multi-choice effects. So we'll take a look at Dunkus's other fusion. This is the Soliel fusion. This is Dig Race the Sky Savior Radiance. So we can send the top card of a deck to the graveyard, and then either gain attack equal to the number of face-up Celestial Warrior monsters in your field times 1,000. So on its own, this goes up to 37. If we get a second out, we could go up to 47. I don't think we're usually going to get up to 57. Or this turn, we can make up to 2 attacks on monsters with 27, which is quite nice. This is fine. It's not too hard to make as well. It's only a 3-card investment, so it's a -2 to make this. And then getting a double attack is, like, that's not bad. Let's get Dark Galaxy and Red Eyes. There you go, exactly. And we will just counter them with Dark Galaxy. Exactly. It's effectively murders Red Eyes, but Dark Galaxy. So another card we get is Ciela, the Sky Savior Knight. So this one was limit 1 for a long time. Reveal it to 5 Celestial Warrior monsters with different names in your extra deck. So exactly the same as Dunkus. 1 face-up monster on the opponent's field loses attack equal to the number of monsters revealed to meet this requirement times 200. Now, I shouldn't have to explain to you why making your opponent lose attack is better than you gaining attack. For the most part, I don't think it's actually going to matter. But by reducing your opponent's attack, you now get 3 different chances to clear it. So if your opponent has back row to protect them for whatever reason, which again, I don't think is going to matter because it's dual links, but in BCG this mattered occasionally, or in OCG. So being able to reduce your opponent's monsters and attack over them is really, really powerful, so this is obviously a really, really good card. Then we get to the Boogeyman. Altiera, the Sky Savior Transients. Here we go. So, continuous effect. Your opponent cannot activate normal spell cards except Fusion. There is no CLF Fusion, smiley face. Oh, there's another one after this as well. Imagine this card against Hero. I mean, yeah. Hero, the scary thing is, if Hero just draws well enough, they will kill you through this card as well, which is kind of sad. The infamous Sky Savior card. Bundle card? I mean, it could be. Bring on the Floodgate, limit 1. Fuck this card, that's all I can say. I mean, that's fair. I have never really liked this card, but it exists. It is one of the many cards that exists. So let's move on to Ciella's other fusion. This is Solcia, the Sky Savior Light Flash. So place one of the card from your field on the bottom of the owner's deck. Now this requirement sucks. We never really want to be putting a card from our field on the bottom of the owner's deck, realistically. -1ing never feels great. And now I see why they are probably releasing worms in this box as well. Field spells equips fusion. Exactly the one, exactly. Multi-choice effect. Destroy spell traps on the opponent's field up to the number of face-up Celestial Warrior monsters in your field. Okay, I mean, that's pretty good. Worst case, that's just one pop. Or add Sky Savior symbol from your graveyard to your hand. Now, before we look at Sky Savior symbol, this card only has 2200 attack and 2800 defense. 2800 defense is okay. 2200 attack, kind of weak. Let's take a look at symbol. If your opponent has a face-up monster on their field, equip this card to one face-up Celestial Warrior, Warrior, or Fairy on the field. The equipped monster gains attack equal to its level times 100. So, like, this is only good if you get it for free. So it's only good if you get it off of this. But if you're getting it off of this, then you're not getting this effect. And also, it's not actually free, because we also have to lose a card from our hand when we use it. So, for me, personally, I don't really like Solcier. I don't think this card is super great. I think this is a necessary evil that you'll put in your deck occasionally because you need to pop your opponent's back row. And for the most part, I don't actually think you should run Symbol at all. I think Symbol is kind of bait. Sky Savior without Altiera is fine and an interesting deck. Yeah, I think so as well. I just think Solcier is kind of mid, and Altiera is kind of... It either does nothing or it does everything. It's a really weird one. Reddit, why my game bug? My opponent summoned new Ciela Fusion. Why can't I use Seven's Wonder Fusion? Exactly, exactly. If the skill create the equipment from the grave, will be okay. Unfortunately, the skill doesn't, so it's a bit of a shame. All right, let's take a look at some of the other cards. So we have Seer, or Ser, the Sky Savior Knight. Level 3, 500 attack. During the turn you normal summon this card, reveal a prayer or fusion in your hand, draw a card. So because of how the skill works, we should always have access to fusion, which means you should always have the ability to get a free draw from this, which is actually quite nice. Ask for fairies, then here's your Sky Savior. I mean, Sky Savior is a cool deck still. So Seer does have a fusion as well. This is Nel Critter, the Sky Savior Hadal. They're made using Ser and Lure. Continuous effect, because all the Lure ones have continuous effects. If your Celestial Warrior, Warrior, or Fairy type monster, equipped with an equipped spell card, attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage. So, this has a big glaring issue, being that you need to play equipped spells, which is not ideal. We don't really want to be playing equipped spells unless we really have to. Is that British Piper? Hello, hello, Piper. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for all of the hard work you've been doing. Really do appreciate it. So Seer at 3, I imagine. The issue with Seer is you have to have something to do with it. So we might just be tributing it, or we might be sending it with other effects. I'm not really sure yet. Hello, Tomato. I see Sky Savior is coming. Hello, Alterius. Welcome on in. Yes, we are getting the Sky Saviors. It's very, very exciting. The skill is just Fusion Draw, but stacks a card, correct? The skill is discard 2, draw 2. So it's sort of similar to like the Light and the Dark Galaxy skills when we first got those, but it then puts Fusion on top of your deck. The equip spell box is real. You're welcome. All this makes me think is the next legend card is an equip. Do we have an equip legend at the moment? I'm trying to think from memory. Oh, we have Mage Power? Do we have United We Stand? I know we have Mage Power. I don't remember if we have United We Stand. Can you confirm if the skill really send 1 draw 2? Oh, that is something we were talking about, actually, Piper. Which I think Baj said that they were going to harass you about it. But we were talking about if this is send up to 2, draw 2. If this is draw the same number you discarded or not. United We Stand. Oh, so United We Stand does exist. So I know Mage Power does. I couldn't remember if United We Stand does or not. But moving on from Nelklita, we also have Sanmarth, the Sky Savior Bright Brilliant. So this is the Soliel fusion for Ser. Show one other card from your hand or field and place it on the bottom of the owner's deck. So this is becoming a bit of a theme where we have to keep getting rid of our cards, which is something we don't really want to be doing. But either destroy one face-up level 9 or lower monster to your opponent's field. Okay, that's a good effect. Or add a level 1 fairy-type monster from your graveyard to your hand, which also is not awful. Right? These effects are like okay. The only issue is we have to get rid of a card to do it, which is a bit of a shame. I think it's draw the same number you sent because I remember testing this already, but let me double check. Appreciate it, Piper. You're a star. A United isn't added yet. Not yet, but soon. A Sky Savior can beat set 3. I mean, kinda. Like, this gives you piercing, right? There's got that. I'm trying to think if they actually... I mean, you have double attacking with Dig Race. Dig Race is an easy double attack, but we haven't even gotten through all the fusions yet. Obviously, only double attack is not going to kill your opponent through set 3, which is kind of the new point that we're at. Alright, now we'll look at another one of their other main deck monsters. This is Ranga, the Sky Savior Knight. So during the turn that you normal summon this card, reveal one Sky Savior Prayer or Fusion in your hand. So again, we should almost always have access to Fusion. Special summon one Soliel or Lure from your graveyard. So this is a +1, which is obviously really, really nice. And we get back Fusion material. Now, the downside we have with this is it only has one Fusion. And that is Galflare the Sky Savior Shine. So we can only fuse it with Soliel. But if we have a Soliel Engrave, we just bring that back. If we have Lure, we bring back Lure and we change Lure's name into Soliel. So it still works out, right? Yeah, sure, that many cards. Sorry for the mistake. I mean, I wouldn't worry about it being a mistake. I mean, if you didn't data mine it, no one would have. So it's important that we get any information at all, right? Cards launch both here and IRL at the same time. It could happen. Can we get a 15-card extra deck for Sky Savior? No. This deck is half water. It is. It is absolutely half water. So, what does this effect? Place one card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. Once again! Oh, we have to lose cards. We don't like losing cards. Multi-choice effect. Shuffle cards from your opponent's graveyard into the deck up to the number of Celestial Warrior type monsters on your field ×2. Again, this can be okay against some specific decks, but again, with skills, I don't think any time you're going to have a shuffle cards from your opponent's graveyard effect is going to be anywhere near as impactful. Or add a level 4 or lower light attribute or dark attribute monster or a Sky Savior Wish from your graveyard to your hand. Now, Wish is huge. We'll get to Wish when we get to Wish. But being able to get back Wish is really big. So remember that for in a minute. Next up, we have Claymont, the Sky Savior Advisor. So this is a level 6. This is the only thing I don't like about this card. Level 6 is not ideal. During the turn you normal summon this card, we can send a card from our field to the graveyard. So we had to tribute a monster to summon this. Then we have to get rid of another card to activate this effect. Then we can add a water attribute warrior type monster, except a monster with 1200 defense, so we can't get another copy of itself. Or prayer from your graveyard to your hand. So, Again, it's very awkward. Because we don't want to lose so many cards. Effectively, we have to -1 to get this out, and then we +0 when we use its effect, which is, again, a little bit awkward. But again, it does have some fusions. So first up, we have Quilides. Quilides? I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce this one. The Sky Savior Dismal Dark. 2400 attack, level 9, 2800 defense. Another one of those ones that has higher defense. Continuous effect. During your turn, face up Celestial Warrior and Warrior type monsters on your field gain 500 attack, and your opponent cannot activate trap cards when they declare an attack. So, right now, this is like not super duper useful, but it's still pretty good, right? Man, this deck has a lot of fusions. I mean, that is the whole point. It is a modular fusion deck. Think of this as like a non-cringe version of Metarian. Or I guess like a slightly cooler version of Heroes. That's kind of heavy to think about it. One day we will get a battle trap that isn't Widespread Ruin. One of these days. I mean, we have like Slime, which I guess sees some play, but it's very hit or miss, right? Then we have the Soliel fusion. This is Chartres, the Sky Savior Shining Light. So during the main phase that you special summon this card, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, while this card is face up, neither player can special summon level 8 or lower effect monsters in face up attack position. So they can still maximum summon. They can still special summon level 9 monsters. So big fusions are completely fine. Only their wimps they can't. Or, until the end of your opponent's next turn, while this card is face up, your opponent cannot set monsters from the hand. This is a very impactful effect, though, because now your opponent cannot stall. They have to go all in, which can be quite important. Gradius in shambles. Bam, exactly. Anti-Gradius card. Magic Cylinder when no! But this card's pretty cool. It is a floodgate, so your definition of cool might vary, but... Then this is their latest, biggest, baddest fusion. Level 10. Digration, the Sky Savior Rider Knight. Made by using any Water Warrior monster, plus Soliel, plus Soul of the Sky Savior Angel. So we don't know what Soul is yet, but we know what Soliel is, and obviously any water. Requirement, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, and then multi-choice effect with 3 different effects, guys. 3 effects on a multi-choice. Either, this turn, this card can attack directly, so 3000 direct attack, which, I mean, I don't need to explain to you why that's pretty good in a 6000 life point format. Or, this card gains 1500 attack and defense, so it goes up to 4500 attack. Or, this turn, this card can attack twice, so a 3k double attack. So, just such a good card. The big issue this has is 3 materials is quite steep. 3 materials is quite a lot. There ever a version of Sky Saviors that use Yamirula and Yamiterasu? Yes, the very first version that came out. Back when it had not very many cards. The problem looks a fusion of 3 materials. It's not too bad, because as long as you're using either Seer, gets you a free draw. So that's a free +1, right? Or if you use... Where's the other one? Or if you use Ranga, you get to special summon Soliel or Lua from the graveyard. So, it's not like super difficult, but it is a little bit annoying. Gives me Dragius Miragius fusion vibes. It absolutely does. Absolutely does. So now, we'll take a look at Limlith. This is level 9 fairy for the deck. You can tribute summon this card in attack position by tributing 1 water attribute warrior type monster or 1 fairy monster. During the turn that you normal summon this card, we can add up to 2 Soliel, Lua, and or Fusion from your graveyard to your hand. Then you can send 1 monster from your field to the graveyard. So you can just send itself, right? Because it doesn't fuse into anything. So you just get rid of it, which is completely fine. Just grab a bunch of other stuff, right? But this card is pretty good. This card isn't like, it's nothing too crazy, but it is a +1, kind of. Well, it's not really. So we add 3 cards, because we add up to 2, Soliel, Lua, and or Fusion. But then we have to give up a card, but we don't have to, right? Because the send is optional. Because it said then you can. So because of that, It's kind of a +1 because we give up a monster to tribute summon it, and then we get 2 cards back. But we could break even if we want to. So it's a bit of a weird card. Then we'll get to Soul. So this is one of the fusion materials for Drigration. So it's very important for that. But level 1, 500 attack, 500 defense, Water Fairy. Send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. Milling is always good. Then you can add a Soliel or Lure from your graveyard to your hand. Again, really good. We should have those in the graveyard most of the time. If you do, you can send 1 monster from your field to the graveyard. Again, optional. Optional send. So we don't have to send. So if we have an effect or something that lets us get this back. So one thing we could do, for example, assuming this card comes out, which I do think it is going to. If we use the skill, we could, before we use the skill, summon out Soul, activate Soul effect, mill, then add Soliel or Lure to our hand. Leave it on the field, then activate the skill, which then we reveal the Soliel or the Lure that we searched. Then we can send it to 2 cards from our hand or field to the graveyard, which means we could then immediately send Soul to the graveyard. And the same thing applies to Limlith as well. So either of these cards... Oh, we actually just got rid of it. Oh, that's annoying. Okay, we got it back. But either way, we could use the skill and get either of them, or use their effects, then send either of them to the graveyard to replace them for a draw, which is actually really good. And I think for me, that is why we're almost certainly getting these cards, because it just makes so much sense to us to gain actual value from them. And we are in another ad break. Now we just wait for the ads to go. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. Welcome back from the edges. But yeah, I think this looks really good. This looks really good. The Sky Savior spreadsheet is real. I mean, I think the deck looks more complicated than it's actually going to be, but we'll have to see, right? The next box is Worms and Sky Saviors. What else could they realistically fill out the box with? Well, it's what else would they put in the box that doesn't have a skill? So it's probably going to be a few extra support cards for existing decks. But it's like, what would they actually put in? It's really hard to know. Hello, Skywings. Hello, welcome, welcome. Yep, we are looking at the leaks at the moment. Did someone cook what archive skill is for? I mean, the best suggestion we've had is a human thinks it could be for London's boss monster. But I don't know. I don't think there's anything like super specific it could be. No, it could just be used for anything, really. Alright, moving on. Sky Savior Prayer. Send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. Special summon a light or dark attribute Celestial Warrior type monster from your graveyard face up to your field. So, we have to -1 to use this card. But we do get back a fully completed fusion from the graveyard, which is not bad. This is basically like a bad version of Monster Reborn. But we can get this for free off of... God, who even gave us back Prayer? Was it you? No, not you. Not you. Claymont can get you back Prayer. So we can get back Sky Savior Prayer from the graveyard. So like, there are ways to like get this back, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be good enough to actually see play. Support for Yami Ruler? I mean, unironically, this is what you used to play in that, but by the time Yami Tarasu came out, you would play Monster Reborn, and Monster Reborn is just better Prayer, so like, it's a weird one. Then we have Sky Savior Oath. So here we go. This is one of the interesting ones, and I don't know if we'll get this card specifically, because the skill is very clearly meant to be working with Fusion, right? But this card's name becomes Sky Savior Prayer while in the hand or graveyard. Requirement none. Effect, Fusion summon a Celestial Warrior monster by sending 1 Water Attribute Warrior type monster and 1 or more Fairy type effect monsters from your hand or field to the graveyard. So, this card sounds okay. This is like a polymerization, right? For your Celestial Warriors, but it has to use Water Attributes, so it's only for Sky Saviors. The problem it has, almost all of the Sky Savior cards are low-level monsters, which means we can just normal summon them. So the real benefit of using this is just going to be filling up that third spot. So in the same way you use Power Meter in Gradius to summon out your third fusion, you'd use Sky Savior Oath to summon your third Sky Savior fusion, right? It's a weird one. Because like if you were playing this in a deck that had lots of high-level monsters, you gain the value from not having to tribute summon your big monsters. But since we're not doing that, you don't gain that value, right? But this card is like, okay. I don't know if this card will come out, but like there's potential. Then we get to Sky Savior Aspiration. So, send one non-legend warrior or fairy monster, or one fusion from your hand to the graveyard to draw 2 cards. Until the end of this turn, you cannot special summon non-celestial warrior type monsters from the extra deck, or attack with level 8 or lower monsters. So this is quite restrictive, but this is basically our trade-in for the Sky Savior archetype, which is pretty good. Now, it's time. It's time for Wish. So remember earlier, I said remember Wish because Wish was going to be important. This is Wish. When your opponent normal or special summons a monster, place one water attribute warrior type monster and one fairy monster from your graveyard on top of your deck in any order. Place one monster from the opponent's field on the bottom of the owner's deck. Then you can set a Sky Savior Watch or a fusion from your graveyard in your spell and trap zone. So this card is really good. First off, we just immediately get rid of their card, which is just really strong. Even if you were against, for example, Radius, and they summon out Spread Bomb, you would just hit Spread Bomb with this. Even though you're not going to get like as much value as if you hit like a fusion, at the very least, you're not having to like force like a Shady on it, which requires a card from your hand. So just being able to get rid of it is just really, really good. If you do hit a very high impact boss monster, it's even better. Not only do you spin their card to the bottom of their deck, which is really, really good, you also get a plus off of it as well by getting back Watch or Fusion, which is really good. And you can set up the top of your deck for the following turn. So by putting a fairy monster on top, you put either Soliel or you put Lua, which means your skill is now live for the following turn. You can also throw whichever warrior monster you want to be put onto your deck to be used for your fusion play. Like, this just does so much. It does so much. So if we did get this card, it would go so hard. But the big thing that we were talking about earlier is Galflare. Because Galflare lets you get this back from the graveyard, which can be a really, really strong effect. Now, it's not always going to be the best thing to do, but just having access to effectively get one of your best trap cards from the grave is really, really good. Seen people argue. I mean, try not to get affected too much by other people's opinions, John. That's what I would say. This doesn't have a cost, just a requirement. Yeah, sounds good. I mean, yeah, it's really good. It's really, really good. It's so good. It's so good. But one of the other cards that should be here, I don't know why it's not. I'm sure I looked it up earlier, but we don't have the other Sky Savior Trap card on it for whatever reason. Where are you, other Sky Savior Trap? This one. So Sky Savior Defense. This is the other trap card. So when your opponent normal or special summons a monster, shuffle 2 water attribute warrior type monsters from your graveyard into the deck. Choose up to 2 attack position celestial warrior and or warrior type monsters on your field. This turn, those monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. Then you can set fusion from your graveyard to your spell and trap zone. This is less useful, in my opinion, when compared to Wish. But it's still, like, not bad. It's still not bad, right? I meant real close. I mean, I get what you're saying, Dwan. I get what you're saying. It's kind of hard to do when acting, so not getting anything. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. People are always going to be like that, unfortunately. And that is it. That is it for the Sky Savior stuff. We've done it, guys. We've gotten through all of the leaks. We have successfully made it all the way through. No waifu design, bad card. What do you mean, no waifu design? Well, you looked at all the waifus. Didn't you like seeing all the waifus that we looked at earlier? Didn't you like Limlith? Don't you like Lua? Don't you like Soliel? I mean, what were the other waifus? We had Ciela. Ciela's cute. I don't even know if Ciela's actually a woman. You know, I just think they kind of look like a woman. Is that it for the women in this archetype? I think that's it for the women in the archetype. Jesus Christ. Were Fireworms and or Sky Savior ever strong in OCG? Fireworms they were sort of like around tier 3 for a bit, or like you could make an argument for like high rogue. Sky Saviors were around again, probably. I would say the highest Sky Saviors probably ever got was like tier 2, but they were probably again more of a tier 3 deck. So like they were never like super meta, if we're being honest. Must be Water Warrior Heart, not mixing with Arcquite. Exactly. I probably should have expected that when I just came back to this Dragon Ball Legends community. Good old Dragon Ball Legends. Okay, time to be a Sky Savior. Enjoy. That's what we want. I can't wait to show people how to pronounce Soliel. How do you pronounce it? I've always pronounced it Soliel. Is it Soleil? Solel? Soleil? Solil? I don't know. If anyone can pronounce it phonetically, or write it phonetically. Of course, I'm literally going to see the toxic people immediately come to the world. I mean, it's always going to happen, right? Emo Girl Fiend Bikers. Oh, you want the Brastes? Brastes might be a little while away. Soleil? Oh, this is pronounced Soleil? Oh. I'm not going to lie. I like Soliel as a pronunciation, but like, obviously it's not Soliel because the E and the I are the way around. Soleil. Okay, so I'm going to, when I make a video for this, I'm going to pronounce this Soleil just for you, Quantum, just to be correct. I stopped paying attention after you showed the woman of the archetypes and started paying attention when you showed them again. Coincidental, though. Yeah, whatever you say, Battler Sparkle, whatever you say. I mean, Gradius is kind of a tier 3 in Rush OCG. So, it is. But, right now, the power level of Rush OCG is kind of nuts. Like, it's kind of bonkers. So, it's not like a fair one-to-one. Typically, in the past, the metas have been quite big. In terms of, there's been a lot of tier 1, a lot of tier 2, a lot of tier 3. Right now, we have like 1 tier 1, like 3 tier 2s, and like 8 tier 3s or something. So like, it's very narrow as a meta. Exact same time as when the Pyro Maximum was dominating. Maybe? It's been a while. It was around that time, I know. Yes, I am back, and I am on Tomato X Sky Savior PogChamp. Hello, Hunter. We've kind of just finished. We've just finished. French words. What do you mean? French words. I kind of pronounce it as Soliel too. Yeah, that's how I was doing it, yeah. For some reason, I don't know why, but the Phoenix Maximum apparently has history. I don't know. The Phoenix Maximum was really good, briefly when it came out. It was only really good for like a set, though. Isn't Soleil the name as the circus? Oh, maybe. I'm not a big circus goer, if I'm being honest, so I'm not the most well-versed on that. When the official pronunciation is worse than the incorrect one. So have you already decided who gets which deck on the new OCG box? Let me guess, Alex gets X's. No, so we basically break them up based on, like, type. So because they're machines, I'm getting the machines. They're mine. They're all mine. He's not allowed any of them. Because he won't be able to use any of the machine support with them. They're all mine. Well, we don't exactly have the anime to answer that question because Sky Savior is it's a TCG exclusive or an OCG exclusive. Which is a bit of a shame, but it is what it is, right? Now, let's take a quick gander at the OCG. There isn't a lot of OCG to go over, so this shouldn't take very long. But guess who's coming to Rush? I'm not sure anyone asked for this, but, Aitsu, who was already in Rush, we're now getting Koitsu. Yeah. So it's a level 10 Water Fairy Union effect. We can choose a face-up Aitsu on the field that does not have a Union monster equipped and equip it with this card as an equipped spell card with the following effects. It gains 3,000 attack and inflicts piercing. So it becomes a 3,100 piercer that just required 3 normal summons to get it out. So we're getting a Soitsu reprint, and then we're getting Doitsu. So Doitsu is a level 4. Choose a face-up Soitsu on your field that other Union, equip this card to it. It gains 2,500 attack. So it goes up to 25. Just 25. So we can get out a 25 for effectively 2 normals. And for 3 normals, we can get out a 31 piercer. Their names translate from English to that guy, the other guy, and some guy. Yeah, I don't know. They're weird. They're just weird. I'm not excited for these guys, let's put it that way. I have no real attachment to these whatsoever. Now, take a ride with Relief Card D. So let's take a look at this. Level 2 Fire Machine effect, 800 attack, 400 defense requirement. During the turn this card was normal summoned, send all monsters on your field to the graveyard. Draw 1 card. If there is a face-up Featherous Spirit Stadium on your field, then you can draw 1 card. For the rest of this turn, you can activate the effect of Relief Card D. So this is Card D, right? Draw 2 is like, I mean, that's not bad. Because this is Pot of Greed, I guess, if you kind of squint at it. It's a weird one. Baby Terragon and Card D, exactly. It's an interesting one. But without seeing all of the cards, I'm not sure how good this is going to be. The next up, burn even the stars to dust with Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy of the End. So I love Chaos Emperor Dragon. I played back all the way from the start, which means Chaos Emperor Dragon was the boogeyman when I was playing competitively for a long time. This card has like so many memories for me, and I think this artwork looks so good. Like, it looks so good. Like, oh, it's such a pretty card. So sending itself too. Yes, it will send itself. It's good when you don't have monsters on the field, I guess. Yeah, or if you just need to make room, right? If you've got like a big play to make. On empty field, it's Pot of Greed, but it also tribute fodder if needed. Exactly. But I personally, I'm not the biggest fan of this art. I think this art isn't bad. Like, this art is fine. But in my opinion, the OG art just looks better. I don't know. Like, this is cool. It's just not the OG. The OG has so much like sentimental value for me. I think it just looks better. But the effect, you can special summon this card from your hand by placing 1 light and 1 dark monster each from your graveyard on the bottom of your deck in any order. During the turn, this card was special summoned by the above method. If you have not activated the effect this turn, pay 1,000 life points. Send all cards in the hand and on the field to the graveyard. So this should be both players' hands and fields. Then inflict 300 damage to the opponent, times the number of cards sent to your opponent's... Oh, I didn't read that. Sent to your opponent's graveyard. That's a bit of a nerf. I mean, it's still... Yeah. I don't know. The more I read this card, the less good it gets. Because it's a legend, right? So you're playing this instead of Card Trooper. You'd be playing this instead of Caius, the Shadow Monarch. You'd be playing this instead of, like, the Calculator, right? There are so many good cards that you would play instead. I don't think this effect is good enough to play this over those cards. But it's cool that it's coming, right? Some PTSD in the back of my mind. I just hate it cute at the bottom against being actual full art. A cut at the bottom, yeah. I think so, Joel. Next turn, opponent draw 5 and go and kill you. Exactly. So the only reason to do this would be if there was something you could do around it, which obviously it doesn't feel like there is. Unless you just kill your opponent with the burn. But the burn is always going to be so mediocre. It's going to be like 1,500 burn. So I don't know. Like, you could summon it as just like a 3k guy. But if you're doing that, just use the calculator. It'd be better. So next up, we have pink card. I don't know why we're getting like magenta version of cards, but it's interesting. So this is YXZ Dragon Cannon. Or Cannon Dragon. So we're just mixing the cards around. I don't know why it's in magenta. I don't know if this is, strictly speaking, better looking than it in its proper colours. Anyway, let's read the card. Level 8. 2,800 attack, 2,600 defense. Materials, Y Dragon Head, X Head Cannon, Z Metal Tank. You can Union Fusion this card. This card's name is treated as XYZ Dragon Cannon while in the extra deck. During your main phase, this card was Fusion summoned. We can choose a level 8 Light Machine monster in your graveyard and special summon it to your field. So I guess you could summon this out and then bring back X Head Cannon or XYZ Dragon Cannon from the graveyard. Which is like neat. Why are you pink? Chaos feels like a legend that will eventually get a personal deck built around it. That's how I was thinking as well. Like, if it got like support cards, that maybe there's some potential. Is that Shui in the chat? Hello, Shui. Welcome. Magenta to make it more feminine. Does it need to be more feminine? I don't know. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like the original artwork is in this post, but it's in the color scheme of XYZ Dragon Cannon, right? The next up, give praise to Durham, the Holy Empress. So, first off, let's let everyone appreciate the art for a bit. You know, I think this is quite good art. I think this looks quite good. This is a Fire Warrior. 1000 attack, 1100 defense. I think it's got a vibe that I think a lot of people in the chat will probably enjoy. So, requirement. During the turn, this card was normal summoned. Send the top 3 cards of deck to the graveyard. So that's already a very good effect. Then you can choose one Union monster or field spell in your graveyard, add it to your hand. So this is generic Union and field spell support. If you added a card, then you can choose one monster on your field or one card in your hand and send it to the graveyard. So you have to. It's not a then you can, it's then you choose. So this doesn't plus you, but it does fill up the graveyard and let you toolbox the graveyard, which is pretty good. I looked and this card's name sounds like British city Durham, or the coinage called the Durham. I think this card's vaguely foreign as it has Durham seems more likely. Now I think about it, if we do get a future Rush anime, I feel like the whole gimmick could be Union monsters. I think they'd be more likely to be rituals, since they spent so much time like making rituals good, but it's better in Union decks. Oh yeah, absolutely. Then we have Take Command with Command Knight. So let's take a little look at Command Knight. We already knew we were getting this card, and there's nothing really surprising here. So 12, 19, continuous effect, all face-up warriors gain 400 attack, exactly the same as TCG Command Knight. If there is another face-up warrior monster in your field, your opponent cannot attack this card. Exactly the same as TCG Command Knight, so nothing too special there. Then we get the ban list. So Rush Duel, July 1st, 2026, limit regulation. Newly forbidden, nothing new. Newly limited, we got Void Alpha Mantis Star, which I am very happy to see this limited. This card is kind of annoying. The whole Void Alpha deck it's a bit annoying. It does quite a lot, and it's quite powerful at OTKing. Void Alpha, in case anyone doesn't know, this is Dinwar's deck, which is like the Galaxy insects that are all the 4 attributes and not light and dark, right? Then there's Beginning Skullrise. This is this card here. So this is a very good spell card for the best deck, the tier 1 ritual deck right now. So very, very good that is now limited 1. So we're very, very happy with these. Then we get to the Splice. Newly semi-limited cards. Sparkheart's Hat. That's not great. As a Sparkheart's player, I would rather have 3 hat. That being said, losing 1 hat is not the end of the world. It's really not the end of the world. That is fine. We also lost a Mukma. Losing a Mukma is, again, not the end of the world. I was only playing 2 copies of this when I won an OCG tournament with it. So I think 2 Mukma is fine. So if you think about it like that, all we're losing is 1 hat. And losing 1 hat is not the end of the world. So, like, I think we're going to be okay. Then we have Grifor the Defiant Soul, which is another Defiant Soul hit, which, again, very, very important. Drash the Dragon Vassal. Which one's Drash the Dragon Vassal? I've already forgotten what this card is. Let me Google this quick. How have I forgotten what this card is? Oh, of course it's a Vassal. This is one of the Monarch cards. I don't like Monarch, so I'm quite happy to see that hit. This is a little bit sad. Cyber Rush Fusion. I get it. I get it. If we're going down the list, this is the next best deck after Defiant Soul, after Sparkheart, after Monarch, you get to Gradius. So I get it. But at the same time, I don't think we needed to hit Gradius. I think Gradius was probably fine. Like, I get hitting the other 3. I think we could have stopped there and let Gradius be fine. Cyberrush Fusion is a pre-XYZ hit. YXZ can revive all the Cyber Fusion, Assault, and such. The thing is, I get that, but this doesn't stop you from doing that. Right? Because you can still do it, you just now only have 2 copies of it. So now it just makes it just a little bit more annoying. And then hurts the Gradius deck as like a knock-on. But I don't know. I think if you were going to be worried about that, you knock this down to 1. And if we're not worried about that, then we keep it at 3. I just don't like semi-limit. I've never been a huge fan of semi-limiting cards in general. So like putting this to 2 just feels weird. Looks like Delirium and Freshberry stuff is out again. Yeah, we got Freshberry Shy. This is actually horrific. Shy is such a powerful card. Like, it is such a powerful card. But I don't like the fact it's unhit. That being said, with the current power level of the game, I don't think it's going to matter too much. We have so many ways to just pop it out of the way that I don't think it's going to be the be-all end-all. So it's probably fine. Delirium Embrace is a really annoying card. And again, I think these are more going to be cards that annoy you every now and then, rather than cards that break the meta wide open. That's kind of how I feel about them. Looks like Delirium and Freshberry stuff's out again. When did that Rush banners drop? So this list came out on the 14th, so 2 days ago, but it's not live until July 1st. Haven't been keeping up with Rush recently, but anything about the 2 anime rituals? If you're talking about the 2 that were used in the anime, no, we haven't heard anything about them yet. And there we go. I mean, that's kind of everything. We've gotten through it all. We've taken a look at all the Asuka skills. We've taken a look at all the potential Asuka cards that we could be getting. We've taken a look at the Sky Savior stuff, and we've gone through all the different Sky Savior cards. We've done it, guys. We have made it to the end. We have successfully finished everything that we needed to do today. So we're probably, I think we're just going to straight up end a little bit early. I don't see a point in, like, dragging stuff out. I don't know if there is anyone that we should be raiding into. I don't know if there is anyone that I am aware of that is a friend, or if anyone, I don't know, knows anyone that they think we should raid into. Nice stream. Thank you, Ursus. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Is Sky Savior good? Sky Savior has potential to be good. It will depend on what we get overall. I think that's what it's going to come down to. It depends on the cards we get, fundamentally, as to whether or not the deck will actually be good. But it definitely has potential. Definitely has potential. Must be a mistake. Where's the psychic news? Good one. But that's going to do it from me. I will be back again tomorrow evening, my time, to do our Zexal watch-along. We will be continuing that. We will also be back on Thursday, where we'll be doing some more Duel Links related stuff. I'll do a Discord ping as well. If anyone is interested in checking out the Zexal watch-along, obviously we post our, when we're going live in the Discord, if anyone is curious about that. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!